Previously, in the Age of Ashes. Thanks to Ro's magics, we were finally able to learn something of the Cinderclaw's origins.
Bark out in Draconic. Do you understand the true tongue, or are you truly as bestial as you behave?
And he looks past you, the rest of the party. Mina opnongo the hawk! Like, more insistently. It doesn't sound threatening at all, the way he's saying it. It's like he really wishes that he could make you understand just as much as you wish you could make him understand.
Right.
Casting Comprehend Languages.
So what exactly does Comprehend Languages do in 2nd edition?
I can understand a chosen language.
We have done all that is asked of us. Gludvarge Malarunk led us through the flaming portal to bring the glory of Dahak to the lands beyond. What have we done wrong? How have we failed you?
Portal? So they did come through a portal.
In the battles that followed, however, to my shame, I was worthless. In such a situation, if the crypts were being robbed, they would stand in defense, strike down the intruders, and lay themselves to rest. They do not simply stand around waiting for explorers to bumble into the crypt again. Formations! Flanks forward! Hold the line! And all of the bodies, the suits of armor, rattle to life and animate, turning towards you. Closes his eyes and almost wrenches his whole body together, before he raises the halberd up in one hand and slams it down on the floor. Damn it! And drops down onto his knees. These are hell knights, damn it. These are my brothers.
I get it, man. If family members rose up from the dead and someone asked me to strike them down, I'd have just the problem.
But the further we persevered through these basements, the stranger the situation became.
So the boots came first through this door over here, came directly into this room, set up the candles and the ashes. Well, the ashes probably for something else. Rur, maybe you can take a look at it. I don't know if it's for a ritual or not. They knelt here for quite some time.
It was performed to communicate with lingering spirits of the dead interred here. In the back of the room, there is a tunnel, dirt-walled, like it's been carved here.
This is leading towards Breach Hill.
Oh.
Okay.
We're certainly in the store chamber in the basement of the best tavern in Breach Hill.
Tavern in Breach Hill.
The Pickled Ear. Why on earth there is a tunnel leading from the vaults of Citadel Altarian to the basement of the Pickled Ear?
This is what happens
a
when you
fairly
eat too
rough
many
and
pickled
tumble,
ears.
not sleep with your breastplate and your shield strapped to your arm. So is it just kind of in a little pile next to you here?
Well, it's laid out like I would be laid out. So I can
Are
remember.
you kidding me?
It's laid out, ready to go, so you can
Just
just
in
roll
case.
over into
So
it.
you can just put a slip and slide on the ground and just
No, it's a decoy. In
No,
case
no.
someone attacks them in their sleep.
So you have a breastplate with your 2 little gauntlets next to it.
On the buddy strip. Lock and load.
Your graves and sabatons just below that. Your cowboy hat just laid on the ground.
That's not possible.
Like regular people store their armor.
Yeah.
I can't handle that.
So, yeah, that was a conversation that happened, I would say, as the peak of merit. I'm going to give that one. And that particular interaction there with Buddy's armor storage tactics is actually available as a much longer sort of highlight, because that whole conversation went significantly further than I could encapsulate in one pre-show bonus clip at the end of a recap video, and managed to descend even further down. You can find that entire clip over on our Facebook page, which is 2 Perception RPG, as well as a whole bunch of other more edited up highlights with just some of the high points and absolute shenanigans that have come forth on this show.
You mean like almost getting killed by rats?
Yeah.
That
Was
was
it even highlight worthy?
Yeah.
It was disappointment worthy.
It was disappointment worthy. It was. We've had several. It's you don't really have a campaign going until you get a couple of the level 1est encounters physically possible. That was definitely on the list of some of the level 1est encounters possible. But
Rusty Shank combat was how you described it, as I
Rusty
recall.
Shanktown.
That's it.
Rusty Dagger Shanktown. But when we ended last week, bit of an odd place, actually. We'd made our way up this strange tunnel that we'd found leading out of the very back of the vaults of Citadel Altarian, defended by these undead animated by the necromantic wards. We basically just went straight through without searching further through the catacombs, not knowing what might still be waiting there, and found a passageway that led into the basement of the PIG'S EAR Tavern. And we stopped largely right there. That tunnel had gone for a little over a mile before it terminated in a simple wooden ladder and an equally plain trap door. And you climbed up into a small cellar surrounded by jars of, well, everything. Pickled pig's ears, as the tavern is named for, a wide variety of other small pickled vegetables and objects, occasionally several casks and kegs of standing ale around, sacks of flour, milled grain, all kinds of things back here in their storage room. And we had largely just stopped it right there, right as we arrived. I'm going to take that down like one volume thing. I don't want that to echo through. I don't know if it is or not. That's probably fine. I just don't want we have a little table speaker, because one of the things I was sad about losing going to an actual table was everyone being able to hear the Sirenscape sound sets that we set up, because it's fairly immersive, it's neat, and also the music. So we had to get a separate speaker to put on the table, and I'm always paranoid about it feedbacking into the microphones. So let me know, Chad, if you ever feel like you're hearing an echo on the music or on the Sirenscape sound sets, you probably are not crazy. That may be actually happening, and we can fix it.
That may be actually happening, and we can fix it.
You might not actually just be completely insane.
You might not actually just be completely insane. Sorry.
Abuse.
So
Don't worry, Bismay, I'll save you.
we'd arrived in the cellar and didn't really have any time to even discuss how or why. But as Tyrannus climbs up behind the group of you here in his clanking breastplate and looks around, is this breach? It must be.
Well, we were
Would
heading in that direction.
appear so?
I'm going to make the wild guess, based on the distasteful items of food around us, that this is exactly where we told you you didn't want to go spend your night.
PIG'S
He just
EAR
sort of
Tavern.
looks around. I mean, you can hear it's not particularly active. It's still fairly early in the morning, but of all of the inns and taverns in Breachville, the PIG'S EAR is going to be the one that attracts the most of the morning and the day drinking kind of crowd. As you can hear a lot of conversation out here, some dice, some coins, some bar staff shuffling about. And Tyrannus just looks utterly confused.
Are those actually pig's ears in jars?
Oh,
I
you
thought
ain't-
it was a metaphor.
Disregarding that, why is there a tunnel from the crypts of Altarian to a slum tavern?
A necromancer wanted to get to the crypts.
Smuggling?
I don't understand. I don't understand at all why you would pick this place, of all places, to have the exit. Well, I suppose it would let you come and go without alerting the gate guards that you were doing so. That could be a reason.
And I mean, if you found distasteful things down here, no one would notice.
The only one who could have easy access to this tunnel without raising any other suspicions must be whoever owns this place. Who is the proprietor?
Who is the proprietor?
I never come here.
Yeah, this would probably
I
be a
tried to-
society check, because I can't imagine.
Oh, that's a rock.
No.
No. Because
Zuri
I lived
Starflower.
here. Oh, Zuri. Oh, okay. Okay. Why even have notes?
You.
Why even have notes?
This is never come up in the session. They'll metagame me, Buford, with the information I gave you pre-adventure.
I was trying to be prepared because I lived in the town.
Well, maybe you should have prepared for Patreon NPC names a little better than you currently are. Check that one off the list. Buddy, you would be probably the only one of the group. Don't give me that one.
Unsure of yourself.
I don't know anybody in this town. Don't worry about it. Never been in this town before in my life.
Yeah, I did. I realize now that I did give you a rundown of
You're
all
like,
of.
you should be prepared to go in this town
You live
because you
here,
know
so
everyone.
Yeah, you know all these NPCs. You know these people. Just don't assume you know anyone who hasn't been introduced on stream yet's names. So, but you know them. Like Buford totally is known to. Zuri runs this place and has for years, which is definitely what I told you during our preparation beforehand, and did not occur just this month with some new Patreon NPC names that are being rolled in. I don't know what you're trying to imply here, Bryn. Maybe you should read your notes better.
Awkward.
Anyway, you is the only one who would come to the Pig's Ear. I mean, obviously, the rest of this group doesn't really seem. We have Elf, Priest of Serenity, Elf. You're probably the only one. But you would know that she owns and runs the place and has for as long as you can remember. Since you were old drinking age, anyway. It's kind of been a staple. It's been around for some time. Buildings and ownership does not change much, Breachel.
What was the name?
Zuri.
Is she an agreeable person?
And Tyrannus
Is
would.
anyone agreeable who frequents this place?
Tyrannus reaching to put his halberd back, and it clanks against this old one that he had. But I don't exactly want to burst forth from their storeroom wielding arms, but I've nowhere else to put this. Perhaps it will help.
Maybe they'll be too drunk to notice.
Well, I don't much imagine it matters how agreeable she is. But certainly she is the one responsible for this. Who else could possibly have access that she would not know of?
Well,
It's a fair assumption.
Do you know her to be a necromancer, Buford?
Not that I know of.
then again, I didn't know any necromancers in Breach Hill, or I suppose Kalmont. He rather threw us for a loop with the.
Wait, is necromancy all bad magic? I'm not super sure.
Well,
Not really. I
there's
mean,
a-
no
the common
magic.
consensus is yes.
Well, actually,
That's not
Isn't it-
true.
little change, because that was, I would say that would be accurate in first edition. One of the big things that's changed in second edition with Schools of Magic is that necromancy is not just. Do you have like Arcana knowledge at all?
I do.
You're trained, right?
Yeah.
This is a thing you
I have
would
Elven
know.
lore,
Like,
yeah.
that's what I thought. This is a thing you would know, like checklists. Necromancy is not inherently the school of raising zombies and defiling the dead anymore, because heal is necromancy.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
false life.
So is false life. Like anything that manipulates life energy at all, which does include defiling corpses, but also includes the prayers of a lawful good or neutral good god healing. It's the same source of energy as Buford's lay on hands is necromancy. So
Do the common folk have this opinion too?
unknown. That's why I knew you were trained in Arcana. So
They probably wouldn't even understand.
yeah,
the
they probably don't
difference.
understand the concept of there are
Schools
there
of
are 8
magic.
schools of magic.
So people don't go and say, "There's a necromancer in the woods." Everyone gets out their pitchforks. They go, "There's a necromancer in the woods." People go, "What?
I've
What?"
been stabbed.
Well-
I need to see 7 raised necromancer.
Yeah, okay.
There's a difference between calling someone a necromancer and calling someone's magic necromancy school magic.
Yeah, and I would say
Kind
that
of
like,
difference between
Crystal.
being a murderer and murdering
You know what
someone.
the necromantic school
you know
of
magic is divided into
course.
schools. You know each school of magic spreads a wide array of different effects, and the necromancy gets a bad reputation sometimes because of what it can be used for. But like technically, Rur is a necromancer. I'm pretty sure every single spell he's cast almost has been
Burning Hands and magic
necromancy.
weapon.
And you've had some evocations and abjurations, but it's been largely necromancy.
Yep.
So it's an interesting one. But the
It is
common
an interesting
person
one.
probably would not even be aware there are schools of magic.
Okay, perfect.
They would know a necromancer makes undead, I would imagine.
I mean, they probably know, like, wizards. Evil wizards do
Yeah,
that.
like evil wizards. do
Yeah, that's probably it.
So
are we?
Tyrannus is still with one halberd across his back and one halberd in his hand. He's got two of them right now.
So I'm of two minds. Do we want to go into the tavern and go back into Breach Hill, or do we want to just go back the way we came?
Well,
Why would we return?
it's a long way back, and we're here now. We
If we
should...
know what we seek, this necromancer came through here. Surely it is this Zuri. We confront her, discover what it is she is after.
Well,
and
it's
why-
not like these tracks are all that recent, as Espis said, and
They're
and we do
hours
have
old.
to. Well, no, in the last couple days.
No, they're like 1 to 3 days old.
Oh,
Yeah, they weren't like super. They were recent in scale of days, not like if they had
Oh,
just
okay.
left. You're not on somebody's tail here.
okay.
Roar, I'm going to use my magic to see if I can detect any ambient energy here. If I find something specific, will you analyze it for me?
Sure.
So I'll turn on detect magic to see if there are any wards, indications that anything in this place might be that she might be using necromancy or any magic for that matter.
And so with your detect magic, I revealed it more than fill this whole storeroom, but you don't detect anything magical in here. And Buford, you'd be probably at least somewhat confused by these investigations, as Zuri and the PIG'S EAR beyond that don't really strike you as particularly wealthy kind of tavern. So,
Would they have been able to have heard that up front?
I mean, possibly. You're incanting a spell in here, but nobody has come to investigate yet. So you can definitely hear like the sounds of business outside, like they say they're occupied.
And Tyrannus has been clanking an awful lot.
Tyrannus is in
probably
full
okay.
armor and whatnot.
There's no ambient effects or magic going on here, at any rate.
At least they're not storing anything magically illicit here. Only, well,
Regularly illicit.
regularly illicit things. Perhaps we could go ahead and see if the proprietor is here and we can inquire about the nature of this tunnel.
Well, I do wonder. I mean, as long as it doesn't take too long, we do have a couple, prisoners still in.
Yes,
And,
it would probably
we
be
will
good.
need
What
to go
are we
back.
going to do with them?
I don't know. Just
Why
give them
don't
to
we
the guard
give
or
them to the
something.
bailiff?
Well, are they...
At this point, the door to the storeroom would swing open.
a moment,
With
please.
a fairly large man with a mug and a rag in his hand, just kind of holding the thing and pushes it open, looks up and sees the whole group of you in the cupboard in the pantry, basically, of the PIG'S EAR. And he kind of glances up at you for a moment, looks back down to grab his mug. Get out of here, you drunks! The back room's not for the pub.
Definitely not drunk.
Just looks across the table. What the hell is this?
So you're not used to people coming and going out of this room.
Get out of the pantry. Look, I don't know who the lot of you are, but you sure as hell don't work for us.
We're trying to hold a meeting here and you're interrupting.
And this place ain't open to the public. Out! Get, you varmints!
Whose trap door is this? We're investigating something and it's rather important.
Did you know that this trapdoor is a secret smuggling route outside of town? We are investigating. We are heroes in the employ of the town of Breach Hill, after
He
all.
just puts up his hands. What?
The door is bad.
If it...
There ain't nothing through the door that we need.
So
It
if...
just opens to a tunnel. I don't know. That's Zuri, but you get out of here. You're in the way.
Well, fine, if you're going to be like that. How
could,
rude.
We could go in and we'll go and question this Zuri. After all, it wouldn't do well to have the town guard involved.
No, it wouldn't. For you, I imagine, given the situation, what with this trespass.
Fascinating. He actually seems to know nothing about it. Very well. Where is Zuri this time of day?
And he just turns and like points back into the room.
Excellent. She's
Off we'll
here.
go.
Goes in.
Enjoy your cupboard.
Resme will, head held high, just simply walk up to her and hold her hand out. Are you Miss Zuri, the proprietress?
So, as you come out here into the open room of the PIG'S EAR, it's largely just a massive chamber built around a single bar with some tables scattered throughout the floor. It does have a couple of sections. Like, it's not particularly small. It's got a couple of sections off to either side just to hold, more drunks when it gets closer to drinking time. But given it's like 11 in the morning right now, the amount of people in here is both impressive and depressing simultaneously. Zuri, meanwhile, is over tending the bar herself for the moment, directing another much smaller, scrawnier man behind to what seems to be a wide assortment of menial tasks she looks like she's more than capable of handling herself. She is a short, kind of stout, ginger-haired woman with a fairly plain green dress on. And as you come around to walk up to her while she's doing things, I have this for us here. She turns to look up at you. What?
We are here on behalf of the town council, investigating matters of some importance, and we want to know whether or not you're aware that there's a trap door.
The man turns and says, Can I go? I got all the tables cleaned up. I told you, my wife, she had business with Crank in town, and I ain't got nothing to do with the kids this afternoon. And Zuri just turns and like waves her hand. Just go, fine, whatever, get out. What, you want a drink or no, lass?
We'll each take one. Thank you.
What do you have?
I'll put some silver on.
And she turns and grabs a few mugs and pulls them out and just looks around and calls up, Dolphin! What's taking so damn long? And just calls out from the storage room as you're all slowly filtering out of here. Or you've come out by now by the time she got her attention. Well, those lot! On the way! Sorry, miss!
Do you have any port? On a cold day like this, a glass of port would be most welcome.
We got ale. You thirsty or no?
Oh, okay. I guess
We got ale and nothing lunch. Gonna be around for about an hour.
All right. I suppose a drink would be nice while we talk.
Water, if you have some at hand.
There's water outside, kid.
Kid.
And as she gets these mugs up, yells out again, Dolphin! Hurry up! I got business! The whole tavern itself is, well, surprisingly loud for the not a ton of people that are in here in the morning, and nearly every single table is set with an assortment of the people you generally don't want to sit near when you show up at a tavern around drinking time. Almost every table's got dice, cards, or both, and stacks of coins going around, as well as occasional packages or pouches of other things being passed around, exchanging hands. It's not a fantastic place, I'd imagine, for most of you other than, again, Buford, who doesn't seem to mind.
Probably wouldn't show up here unarmed and armored.
No, probably not. And neither do most of the customers, actually, as there are just clearly visible swords or knives near everybody's hips.
Mm-hmm.
So, about that trap door in your cellar.
What are you doing back in the storehouse, miss?
Well, we were at Citadel Altarian investigating, and we found a passage there, and we followed it, and it led to underneath your establishment.
Look, when I got this building from my dad, when I was a kid and picked it up and started running it myself, trapdoor's been there. Don't know much what it leads to, doesn't matter to me. Not big enough to store nothing in it. Why?
Oh, no reason. Has anyone come out of the storeroom today aside from us and your other employees?
Or the day before.
Look, I don't hire a guard to keep tabs on the storeroom.
Huh.
So,
I'm more or less asking if it's used by someone who doesn't work for you.
Surely you'd recognize someone who wasn't in your
Tyrannus,
employ.
who was standing here in pretty heavy armor with a halberd in his hand and another halberd on his back, looking somehow more out of place than the several elves and the lost small child, just rubs his brow with his the gauntlet of his free hand. Look, Miss Zuri, Starflower, whatever. If there's anything you know about this trap door, this is an official Hell Knight investigation of the Order of the Nail. It would behoove you to be forthcoming. And she just looks at him. Just looks at him. What the hell are you supposed to be?
He just said what he is. He's a
And
Hell
you can
Knight.
see Tyrannus' face start turning a little bit red. At the moment, an investigator of the Hell Knight Order of the Nail. Answer my questions. He just looks up and down. Some kind of costume or what are all you? What is this? What's going on? Why does my storeroom matter to a lot of you?
Because
you want
yours-
pickles? We got pickles. We got pig's ear. Dogs love them.
Your storeroom is a weak link in Breach Hill's defenses leading to the outside. There's a great deal of vermin and trouble on the other end of this tunnel, and we are wondering if there's anything coming through here. It looks like there may have been evidence of some sort of fugitive
Look,
or
Elf
rogue
Boy,
wizard.
there's all kinds of vermin and trouble in the town. That's nothing new.
There'll be some more vermin and trouble in here if you don't give us straight answers.
Perhaps
She just-
the undead on
she
the
just
other side
laughs
of
as
the
she's
tunnel.
She's sliding these mugs across, filling them up from a huge keg sat propped up on a table in the back. The mug's not particularly clean.
Thank you, miss.
I'm
nor
not
is the
even
keg,
touching them.
with a bit of a stain under the on the wood underneath it, where the ale is just left to drip when the tap is closed. Just slides the drink across to you, amused. Are you threatening me, Elf Boy?
So I'm gonna hop up on a bar stool at this point,
I'm just
Getting
gonna
up.
take the L and be like,
getting up at face level with everybody else. I'm going to put my symbol of Saren Ray in front of me, and I'm gonna ask, do you know what this symbol is? Do you know what I do?
That's one of the symbols from one of the churches. The Great Dream House. Is that Carindils? I can't keep them straight.
This
Ain't
is
Kalians.
This is Saren Ray, the god of truth, the sun, and healing. And there are undead on the other side of that tunnel.
Look, little boy. If you're thirsty, why don't you go fetch your water and let the adults here talk? Buford, what are you doing with this group? What is this? What happened to your damn hat?
ma'am, the hat's a sad story. Please don't bring it up. I just need more ale. But these are good folk. Don't worry about them. They're just wondering about that tunnel here. Anybody been coming or going?
And she just shrugs and puts her hands up.
These guys can do an awful lot of help
So
here if you
make me
need.
a perception check. Any or all of you, really.
I like it. I like it. 27.
22.
18.
27?
I know a
25.
lot about this woman.
25. Okay, yeah, I mean, you're the one who knows her, so I guess that makes sense. And so she pretty clearly is just brushing this off. You get the sense that it's not even necessarily that she might not know, but she's not interested in this conversation at all. She doesn't care. She's just trying to get you all to move on with your day right now. She is
That's not the way to do it.
0% engaged in this conversation.
Perhaps there might be something we can do to engage your interest. We need your help, and it is polite
Look,
to offer.
lass, you can buy a drink. There ain't much going on here other than that right now, unless you want some pig's ears.
Pig's ears? Those are actually things you eat?
Did you not see him in the storeroom? Did she not see him in the storeroom? Look,
I thought they were
it's not just
decorations.
it's not just a name, lass. We got pig's ears, we got pickled onions, cucumbers, potatoes, all kinds of things. Some people like them, some people's dogs like them. Buford's dog liked them.
I like them myself, actually.
Perhaps you should serve things in your bar that people like so that they will eat them.
She just looks at you.
You know, these elven folks, they've got different cultural beliefs and whatnot. I just want to know, help a man out here. We're looking for some information. Maybe we can't make a trade.
Look, Buford, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what kind of mess is you trying to bring into my tavern here, my fine establishment. You just kind of look around. You are at this point gathering some amount of attention from the various groups scattered throughout the bar, both because you very clearly do not belong. You don't look anything like the normal clientele of the Pig's Ear. But also because you are all dressed, well, fairly expensively at this moment, which here in the Pig's Ear is garnering some amount of interesting looks. And Esvis here with you at this point, looking around at all of this, just meeting people's glares with his own. Turns to the rest of the group. I don't know what we're going to accomplish here, but this doesn't seem like it's proceeding very quickly. I'm headed home. We've done enough today.
Oh, bye, Esvis. Sleep well.
And without a further word, He just turns and walks out. Walks towards the front door. Just leaves the
She'll
Pig's Ear.
hold her arm up so that Severin can come back to her.
And Severin will hop
From
off
the
of
nest in his quiver.
From the quiver nest that he's building in Asmus on his back. And Severin flaps back over onto your arm. And
A small
Zuri.
A small crowd starts to applaud for the bird.
Zuri puts up a get that damn vermin out of my bar.
Severin is not a vermin. She's a falcon. And an excellent
No
mouth.
pets, no animals, no wildlife. Get that out of here.
To be fair, there were no signs in the tunnel.
I'm surprised this place actually has some standards along those lines.
You guys aren't, this whole common courtesy, southern charm kind of thing's kind of lost on you guys. But it's best that we're nice to ma'am. She's she runs a tight ship around here.
Zuri looks to you, almost like exasperated
Look,
at this point with the group of you. Just puts her hands down the bar. And then folds him and just kind of leans forward. Look, buddy. What kind of elven nonsense is this?
Long weird story, but we're really looking. We're not doing to look any harm here. We're just looking to see who's passed through here in the past couple days. Notice anybody weird and anything interesting? There'd be some good stuff in it for you if we.
Make me a diplomacy check here. Want to roll me one of those, buddy?
Sure. I'm the face. A 10.
Well, if you're all kind of contributing in this. If the person who has charisma wants to go ahead and take the role instead, because it's sort of a group effort.
Hey, there you
I'm not
go.
gonna Make you rely on Buford
That's
alone.
going to be a 26.
Holy crap! I had 26. So that Zuri kind of looks at Buddy, raises an eyebrow, looks across the other two of you. And at this point, she's pretty much like passed off any barkeeping duties to Dolphin, the man who would come into the storeroom. And he's handling stuff. What? Buddy, who even are these people? Where'd you find a bunch of elves?
Yeah, the Call Heroes. They
I told you we need a name for our group.
Well, yeah, the
Well-
name. Well, it's from the Call Heroes. A couple days ago, it was. They always get some interesting sorts around there. They're all good folk, though.
Just kind of laughs and hangs your head a bit. I see big heroes now. Is that what it is? You
Sure
and your
am.
friends, buddy.
Sure am.
The wife put you up to that one.
Sure did.
Unsurprising. All right, well. Look,
Resme takes a sip of the ale without really thinking and immediately spits it out behind her. What? What is that?
it's ale, lass. Boy, it ain't up to your elven standards.
They got delicate tastes. You know how it goes. And I'll pat Resume on the back and.
Oh, Mother was right.
She just laughs. Well,
It's a bit bitter, but water, but it might not be.
I don't know
exactly.
what's brought the group of you here. This, and she kind of looks Tyrannus up and down. Gentleman.
Isn't he
whatever he's
dreamy?
about. He's something. Now, what are you doing with two Alberts? How are you gonna wheel both of those? And gets a little further red here. They're not both for fighting. This one is mine, and this is one that we had. Look, just answer Buford's questions, please.
Yeah, the quicker we can get out of here real fast if we have what we need to know.
All right, buddy. I don't know why this is such a mix to you, but I need. Look, it seems like we're in a pretty good position to help each other here.
Sure are.
And she just kind of waves the hand at the tavern as a whole. There's maybe like 3-4 different groups of people scattered around. Nobody has come in while you've been here, but a couple people have left. Granted, it is still the morning. Not positive what she's expecting, seeing as she's not even offering food at the moment. PIG'S EAR ain't doing so great. Now, I found myself a pretty alright side source of coin. Precious few gold pieces. Letting some folk have access to whatever that trapdoor leads to in my storeroom. But I need that money. So unless you got your own solution, if you got a way to fill that particular gap, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
You mean you want us to help you make this place busier? Bring you more business?
Oh, I thought she was asking for a bribe.
Yeah, how about I just slap some gold on the table?
Oh, but no, she has
No,
income. This
she
is
needs-
income
I meant
that she
more
needs.
piss off kind of way, but I mean, at this point, I ain't past turning down help. Look, I'll tell you what, this idea is ridiculous, but then she again just kind of gestures to the hole that is the PIG'S EAR. We don't attract the best folk here. A lot of my regular sorts kind of scare off any new folk who poke their heads in the door. Tell you what, fine. You want to be hired on as a, we'll call it a business advisor, Miss Resme?
Yes.
You want to be hired on as a business advisor of the PIG'S EAR Tavern, you can make me back that coin. I suppose I wouldn't need such supplements on my income.
You are not going to be sorry. This is going to be so much fun.
Oh, God.
We're honestly doing this.
Makeover!
Look, I don't know what's getting into your head, but I feel like you need to slow this down about 3 notches at the very least.
Well, I already have 3 ideas.
Yeah, you know, as elven folk, you gotta just roll with the punches.
So is
Her
there...
and Tyrannus both look equally exasperated at this point, as they're both just hands on their brows, near face palm status. But Zuri sits up. All right, you know what? Gods be damned, I'll let you have your shot.
Will you help?
I'll always help. I mean, I don't exactly know what we're gonna be doing, but
Now that I think about it, in all of my travels, I can't think of any bar like this that I've run into that didn't have some illicit side business to
Look,
make ends
this
meet.
is not what we are here for. Miss Zuri. Zuri, was it? Beautiful.
yeah, you know, Tyrannus, we're actually doing a pretty good job over here. I think that maybe if you just like,
Maybe it's time for you to take a little break. Maybe a little vacation. Maybe go to the other inn you were staying at, have a nap.
This is
Clean
ridiculous.
your
They are
armor.
my ancestors, and the crypt being defiled by whatever it is this woman is allowing to happen in her very own establishment. We are not simply going to rebuild her tavern for her.
Well, why not? One good
Tyrannus.
turn deserves another.
She is a criminal! And,
I
she just
feel-
shrugs.
I don't
Tyrannus.
see any criminal activity going around here, and that's pretty strong accusations there, Tyrannus. For a man of the law, that
And he
seems
gestures
pretty harsh.
back at a table behind him. That is at least 3 ounces of flay leaves. That is...
That ain't illegal around here. That's just
And the guy at
frowned
the
upon.
table just shrugs.
When you
And Zuri looks down. It doesn't look like nothing to me.
Yeah.
What are you doing nosing other people's business anyway? And Tyrannus says, are you serious? Is this hive of scum and villainy? We are going to help them.
Now, Tyrannus. Now, there ain't no good in just throwing out words all over the place. Why don't we go for a walk outside for a bit? And Golarion getting a bit excited too. Maybe he can say.
Monocle up in his excitement.
Tyrannus, perhaps you and I
As
can
he's
get
getting a
some
little
town
worked up here,
guards.
Zuri kind of elbows Dolphin. And Dolphin's a pretty big dude with 0 hair on the top of his head and a pretty large mustache, just kind of angled down into just a chunky, unkempt gray beard on his face. He's got a pretty big amount of scars down one of his shoulders. His shirt doesn't cover any more past that. And she nudges him. He just kind of crosses his arm and walks over around to the edge of the bar. And just looks at Tyrannus.
Is he seriously trying to intimidate the fully armed and
Tyrannus,
armored
this
soldier?
is exactly Tyrannus' response. He just points at his halberd, points at the other halberd, like, are you serious?
Tyrannus, perhaps it would be best if you and I go get a couple town guards, some manacles, and we head back up to the fort, and we get our captives and bring them down here before they freeze to death. Let them deal with this. We'll go take care of the prisoners, and we don't have to...
Bro, you of all people, the Sun Priest, you are okay with this.
I'm not okay with it, but I don't have any other choice at the moment if we want to know who's working on that tunnel.
Besides, when you think about it, we're doing a good deed. I mean, look at the roots of poverty. If you think about it, as a whole town, we
Now,
could actually
Resme, I don't
be
mean to cut you
blamed.
off the way you so often cut me off, but I think that it's not terribly helpful in this current moment to go along the line of inquiry. Although, if you were looking to go and retrieve our simian captives, might I suggest you use this convenient tunnel, as it would save you a lot of walking in the cold.
Indeed, no sense monkeying around if you don't have to.
But we're going to have to get a couple of guards for escorting them. I don't think the guards want to come through
As
the
they put
tavern
their
and
hands
down
up. Hey
through the
now,
tunnel.
I don't know what this is all about, but you're
This is
not
up
bringing
at the,
prisoners
this is up
through
at
the
the
PIG'S
fort.
EAR.
You don't have to worry about it.
I don't think either of you are going to have a problem bringing them back.
In all honesty, this tunnel is actually rather convenient, assuming that you didn't have a monster-infested crypt on the other end of it. I wonder if the town would be interested in renovating that place.
All right.
At
Neither
this point,
here
the
nor
first
there.
person comes into the bar that has come in since you've been in here while you've been standing around discussing with Zuri, and he is ridiculously dressed, done up in what looks like a Halloween costume idea of what nobility should look like if you only had an incredibly small budget and access to Breach Hill specifically.
So you'd fit right in
So-
with the group, really.
Largely would fit in with the rest of you louts, I suppose, but almost a bright, aggressively purple tunic that he has tried to clearly hand make his own large puffed shoulders on each side, striped with not silver, well, it looks like a light gray at least. And he comes in with a lute strung across his back and a flute and an actual shirt pocket on the front of his tunic, and comes in and waves a hand. Ah, fantastic morning! And sees the group of you. Oh, buddy, pleasant morning to you. We have an elven commission in town. Fantastic! I know several elven songs, as a matter of fact. And starts
Actually,
to
we're
take his
here
lid off his
as
bag.
advisors. We're going to try to bring more business to this establishment. And speaking of which, you're just the man I want to see.
Oh, fantastic! And yours is the coin I'd be so happy to see, milady. Reginald.
She'll give him her hand, and she'll actually slip him a silver in a way that no one would notice but him.
Make me a... What is it?
Thievery?
Thievery
Thievery.
now, right? It's not sleight of hand anymore. It's thievery in psychic. Make me a thievery check.
Ugh.
So we're just throwing d20 on the ground, because
Why
I
you do
figure
these
that's
things?
about how Resme is on...
16.
16? Okay. All right, not bad. You managed to slip him a silver piece in a way that I imagine most of the party would all notice. You're level 3, no one's less than
I
3 in
wasn't looking.
perception. But anyone was looking at all would see. But fortunately, shielded from the eyes of a lot of the patrons.
The general
The
riffraff.
general riffraff don't notice the coins are just being handed out here to people who walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks down at it and looks up at you and nods and tucks it into his coin purse on the side of his belt, and then continues trying to get his loot off of this big strap across his back with some difficulty. He's not particularly dexterous.
Hold on with the music for a minute. You and Tyrannus go get the prisoners. That's an excellent plan. We can't very well have them starving to death. And you two stay with me. I'm going to need your help.
I wouldn't leave you alone in this place if you paid me.
It's
I
not
can
that
take care of
bad.
myself.
This cannot seriously be something we are considering.
You and
Look
I
at
are
this
considering
face.
something completely different.
Fine. Let us deal with the beast men.
Let's go let the guards know we're going to be bringing them, get ourselves some manacles, and do it safely without them dying, hopefully.
And he just, one thumb still looped around his halberd, puts his hands up. Very well. After you, Sun Priest.
hop down off that bar stool and start walking out.
Just clank, and Tyrannus just follows after you, clanking his way out of the.
It'll be interesting to see whether Resme gets results first or whether Rur does.
Ooh, are they gone? Excellent. All right. Now, step number 1. I understand that a place like this, well, any bar worth its salt really, is going to attract some element of gambling. I think we can take that as
Missouri, I
read.
assume.
Yeah. However, you do have that secret passage, and you have a rather considerable space down there. Had you considered moving the gambling and other less savory aspects of your business to a place where no one can see them and yet they're still making you money?
You want me to hide people up in a back room in a closet?
While
yeah,
they're
it's
gambling.
rather small. You'd have to expand it significantly, almost to a full basement size, in order to get your current clientele out of the main room. A
I
back
ain't
room might
exactly
work
got
also.
the coin to hire any of the stonemasons in town.
But I think we could redo your back room in a way that might make it work.
Or partition this section if you were looking to try to create a more illicit
Buddy,
feel.
she this enthusiastic all the time.
Yep.
I've actually never seen her be quite so engaged in a project before.
Well,
So-
we haven't done a whole lot of projects of this sort before.
a good
That's
point,
step
actually.
number 1. Step number 2, do you have any girls that come in and clean?
And she looks over at a Dolphin, this big hulking dude, and you saw the one guy who'd left earlier. Like, not in the morning, Steph. No, I got one lass, Una, shows up the evenings sometimes to run bar with me if it gets particularly busy. Why?
Because people want to eat and drink in a place where they don't feel like they're going to catch a disease. So we're going to need to clean this place up a little. If you want to attract higher level clientele, the place has to at least be basically clean.
What's wrong with what we got? And she looked down at the bar. There's just covered in stains with like knife marks all up and down the front of it. Everything imaginable carved into its surface. The air behind it with a keg is actively just dripping on the floor right now. You can see from here over the bar the mold that is growing out in like an expanding circle around where this ale is just dripping. And in several eaves of the building, you can pretty sure you can see damp spots from God knows what's even up there. The building's only 1 story.
Zuri, may I call you Zuri?
I don't know what else you'd call me.
If you want to attract the type of people who have money, who will spend money here, you have to make the place a place they want to be. Do I look like I want to be here right now?
Very much so. I'd argue possibly too much at the moment.
Well, if I didn't have an ulterior motive, do you think I would specifically seek this place out for food or drink?
Has anyone who looks like her done so?
Are you interested in pickled ears?
No.
Then maybe not. I don't look, miss, I don't know. Like
That-
what? All 3 of the elves in Breach Hill show up at the same time trying to turn this place over into something else.
Well, we're going to start by giving the place a good cleaning. Do you have any other young ladies in town who might need
I ain't
some...
got coin to spend on this. You're missing the purpose of this exercise here. I got nothing to invest.
I will back you.
I'm
Not
sorry,
bad.
what?
With an understanding that I would have a percentage of the
You suddenly
business.
a percentage of the business. You want to buy into the PIG'S EAR. You want to buy into my tavern so that I'll help you.
Yes. I actually think this place might be a good investment.
Look,
Are you serious?
Of course, I'm always serious.
I don't think you are.
You are wrong.
Look, Miss Zuri, perhaps there's a communications issue that's going on here. Why don't you've asked us to help you drum up some business, and I suppose the big question becomes, are you giving, you don't want to spend any money, yet you want to see business improve without making any changes? Is that what your expectation is? Or is
I
your
was just kind of thinking I don't know, you put together something to get some new faces in here. Hopefully, maybe some of them stick around. I don't know, like a drinking contest or
I think a drinking contest would get you more of the same
Arm
clientele
wrestling.
you always arm wrestling. I think I see
No.
why you have the clientele that you do. Perhaps then we could perhaps put an event together.
Like horseshoes.
Are you
So let me
telling
get this
us-
straight.
Cornhole.
We can't-
Cornhole.
What?
Is that
Is that a thing?
Is that a drink or is that a game?
No,
What-
it's a game. You never played that game?
must not have been in Breach Hill long enough for it to be a thing that I noticed.
Buddy, where'd you find these people?
It's a Call of Heroes tracks all sorts. and
Resme will look around and start
Breach Hill
calculating
attracts
in
all
her
sorts.
head how
For the Call of
much she
Heroes.
thinks it would take to clean this place up.
I guess that depends on your standard of clean.
Get some clean tablecloths on the table, a better drink.
No.
So cleaning the
can't
place
do
up
this.
doesn't seem like it would be terribly difficult. A lot of the problem isn't like things that need to be invested. Like nothing so terrible needs to be replaced. It's just like nobody bothers. When this is the kind of place you come in, you get an ale, she fills your mug, hands it to you, you drink it, you bring it back, she like wipes it with a rag for a second and just puts it back on the shelf. Like it's literally just a lack of effort. So you could come in here and do a decent job of cleaning this place up, just with basically no investment,
It sounds like everything needs an acid bath.
including the proprietor.
Including the proprietor. Everything.
So but it would be a lot of work if you wanted to do it yourself. So you would look at like a couple, like 2-3 days of downtime that you could spend in here, and you could make it a lot more presentable just yourself, especially because you have access to like prestidigitation and
Yeah.
basic cantrips like that to clean it up. You don't have to just do everything backbreaking.
Also,
Although, admittedly, repeatedly casting prestidigitation in a different entire day is kind of exhausting in its own way.
take a sip of the ale again. She'll turn to her. What do you use in the ale? What's its base?
Water, apparently, an awful lot of it.
And she just kind of shrugs and just whatever I get in.
Well, who makes it for you?
Cap, farmer outside of town, that's on the outskirts of town, kind of out by you, buddy. You know Cap.
Yeah, of course. He supplies a lot of town.
He does wheat and barley, and he distills most of this himself.
Right.
I think he does for most of the taverns. I know he
And-
does it for Caden's Keg.
And of course, just as your consultants, you can be honest with us. You don't, by chance, water it down a bit before you serve it, do you?
I mean, you get twice as much out of it.
Yes, exactly. Imagine this. Keb's Reserve. It's just like the normal ale, but you don't water it down, and you charge 3 times the price.
Stops for a second thinking, who's going to pay that kind of coin?
Your new clientele, especially if we have some sort of event to draw them in. Cleaning would be, of course, a necessary first step.
How do you feel about magic?
Like, I don't know nothing about magic, Liz. I don't know if you're getting the wrong idea here.
Well, if you
She just kind of
wanted,
looks at herself.
to draw clientele, then you'd have to have something in here that no one else had, something interesting, something that would attract attention.
We got pig's ears.
That is the wrong type of attention.
Well, now, don't think about it this way. Pig's ears you could actually do a lot of things with. Well, I recall when I was journeying up through the western...
No, don't start.
But I really think it's
What is
applicable.
your source of pig? Do you actually buy whole pigs or just the ears?
Well, we get the ears and the hooves from butchers. They got no use for them. We pickle them. Tails sometimes.
How do you feel about bacon or back fat? You know, the part
Well, the
of...
butchers keep those parts. That's the parts they use.
Oh, the ears and the hooves are free, are they?
You're close enough to it.
Close enough to it. I'm noticing a pattern here emerge.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you have to spend money to make money?
She has not heard
You
that
ever
phrase.
heard the phrase, you gotta have money to spend money?
And that is why you need an upfront investment.
You really are trying to put money into this place.
Look, I'm not really understanding what you're gonna do with Go. We don't need more space. We got plenty of room. And it is, again, the PIG'S EAR is actually a pretty big tavern. It is probably one of the largest, if not like the biggest in regional. It's got a lot of space. It's just
And you're
not full.
and you're not taking advantage of it. If we put a stage in here and you hired out performers or other people to keep your customers entertained.
And she just points over at Reginald, who has been told not to play. And is just kind of sitting at a table right now by himself, hands folded in his lap with his lute on the table. Oh, hello! Reginald comes in and plays. He makes decent enough coin. He keeps coming back every morning.
Oh.
And he puts his hand up. Yes! Because Stavin certainly has the most people in the morning.
I'm guessing you go someplace else at night.
Well, of course. Caden's generally a wizard's grace.
And what do they have that you think makes people want to go there?
And he just... Reginald just kind of looks around. The answer you're looking for isn't my music, is it?
No.
Well...
You're a professional. You've been in enough of these places. You know what your business is.
Well, the Wizard's Grace always has whatever mercenaries and travelers are coming through the town. They always end up directed there, and Miss Usquald is a fair enough entertainer with her magic and all. But he just kind of looks at Zuri. No other reason.
So it sounds as though, travelers get directed there. So if there was something that would cause...
Friendly reminder, you immediately told Tyrannus to not go here.
I totally did.
I totally
did.
The place in town.
But I don't have to tell Zuri that.
Zuri, I think
This is a problem you're all too familiar with.
Zuri, I think what you have is an image problem.
That's a problem. Well, I think what I have is just again gestures at the whole of the tavern. General clientele scaring off new customers, and none of them stop by anymore. Problem. Breach shell's only so big.
Well, let me think.
Honestly, I think an event night isn't a bad idea. A bit of cleaning leading up to it, an actual special event. It would get people's attention. People wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm going to the PIG'S EAR, that place I never go to for no reason." They would have a reason to come. It would get them in the door, and then if the atmosphere is attractive enough and they have a good enough time, they might come back. It could be a way to get a decent amount of coin, and you could run them on a regular basis, maybe.
You look like one of them respectable wizard sorts. You could just wave people in off the street.
Sadly, using mind control magic to get customers in your door is something that very quickly gets you put in the stocks, I've found.
You can use mind control magic? That'll make this even better. This is easy. We don't have to do nothing.
Oh dear.
Perhaps I misunderstood what you were asking.
I can use magic. I'm not going to use it to manipulate people.
Well, then what's the point?
Well, we can use it to clean this place up and set up an event for you.
Which in a way is manipulating people, because it certainly wouldn't happen without it.
But legally. What about bringing people in here who actually have money to spend and also like to gamble, but making it legitimate? So...
What's not legitimate about this? And just points at the tables.
So...
It's not like we organize any of this. They just come here to do their business.
But what if you did? What if you organized an event where people come and they place money and they play cards and it's a contest, and at the end of the night the winner takes the pot and you
like
take
a
a
tournament
cut?
of some kind.
Exactly.
There isn't any kind of law against that, is there?
I ain't no kind of like.
Nick, this is like middle of nowhere town fantasy Pathfinder. I am fairly certain they have exactly 0 gambling laws.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, different small towns behave differently. Like, literally, Gainesville won't let you get people to pay you money to park their car on your lawn without wanting a cut of it. So, it's just different. I just didn't know.
Even the drugs on the
Interesting.
table are probably not really monitored.
Yeah, they're probably not illegal, actually.
Okay.
They probably don't super carry. I mean,
Oh,
like,
brilliant.
the laws of Breachill pretty much are don't kill people, don't rob things, don't break things. Like, it's a very simple town up in the Five Kings Mountains with basically no trade or outside world contact. So it's
Okay.
just like, don't
kill people.
don't kill people.
Don't be a jerk.
It's a very small list of don't set the town hall on fire. It's probably a law. Like, that's.
I think
No, specifically
It's-
during town meetings. They don't care if you set it on fire, just not during
just
town
not during
meetings.
town meetings.
It's not a complicated place. They're not like
Wrinkling
they
my
don't have a
nose up.
DMV. Like, there's no bureaucracy here.
All right, good.
Here specifically.
Don't be a dick.
I like it.
Breachill civil code.
I love it.
Exactly.
I actually think we have the basics of a plan. So, step number 1, we're going to need to get this place cleaned out. I'm going to need some time with this place and with you, and they can't be here while we're doing that, so they need to leave.
I don't think she's going to kick her clientele out. I think we're going to have to wait and come back when
You think
they're closed.
we can make this more money by not being open?
For a minute or two, yes.
Well, they only open at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Before that, we could totally be in here
At
without
this point,
them.
what is this, Moon Day at this point?
No, it's
So-
toil day.
Toil day.
So she'd kind of shrug. I mean, I suppose I could close it down for tomorrow or Oath Day.
That
We
would
don't
be
get a
helpful.
ton of business midweek anyhow.
Then let's do that. And then,
More manual labor. I'd gotten out of it for a few years,
Hooray! This is the kind of high-octane fantasy adventure we come to Pathfinder for. We're gonna clean a tavern.
but a really dirty tavern.
Third level, by the way.
also, do you have any non-watered down ale?
We just had that discussion.
No. In the back. She's watered it down, but does she have any in the back
Of course,
that she
the
has?
kegs in the back ain't been watered down yet.
All right. Let's go in the back and taste some.
All right, so she takes and just kind of leads you back to the storeroom, and you gotta tap these kegs. They're not open yet, which she's kind of reticent to do. But it wouldn't take you much motivation because at this point she's curiously invested
She likes money.
in the. She does like money, and she's curiously invested in the strange elven folk who have come to her tavern with the promises of more money should she just do what you tell her to do. So you get one up. It's a much smaller keg than the massive barrel she has up in the front that you're pretty sure she just dumps a keg into and then several buckets of well water. But you tap up this smaller keg, and the ale's fine. It's not spectacular. It would be basically identical to what you would get in many of the other taverns in town. What you get in Caden's Keg, what they would have just in the smaller regular bars. It's Breachill. Realistically, is pretty much all supplied by Kepcap. It's just this one dude who farms wheat and barley who supplies almost all of this. It's not a huge town when it doesn't have a huge demand. And again, there's basically no trade, so
That's it.
you got what you got.
Does anyone here sell fruit? Apples. Is there a supplier for apples or any other kind of fruit around here?
Yeah, I would. You got a bunch of farms around Breachill that largely supply the town. Buford, what do you farm out of curiosity? Because yours is one of them.
Mostly just wheat.
Mostly just wheat. I imagine it's mostly wheat and barley farms. And wheat, barley, and corn. And
We've
probably
got a
not-
tiny farm for just us, with just like a tiny little
not-
garden.
that's not-
But
none of
that's
them are-
not like
It's subsistence farming.
Yeah,
Corn,
none of them
you
are.
say.
None of
Yeah.
them are huge. But I would say that there would. It's in the mountains. Now, I'm not a fruit Scientologist, so I'm not entirely positive what all fruits would actually
Apples,
go to real. I
apples are
figured-
good at growing in cold
Apples
weather.
are good for
I figured
clothing.
there'd be an
You'd
apple
probably get
orchard is the
berries,
only one I feel
blueberries
really
do
safe with.
well.
Probably figs.
Figs, yeah, you can.
Let's say apples and figs.
Could you
Let's
do
say
figs?
apples. There, it's canon.
I believe
Apples
so.
and figs.
Apples
Done.
and figs.
All right.
So there's one orchard that supplies the town with some amount of apples and figs.
So one of the things that we
The
can do
Westford Scientologist.
is we can
Not one.
We need to have something here that no one else has. Something that will attract customers.
Pig's ears. I don't know why we keep coming around back to this.
No, a drink.
Like, this is...
Something with alcohol in it. Like cider. Mulled hot cider during the winter.
Well, I'm pretty sure they got cider down at the Wizard's Grace. Now, Trini has some of that. She buys them bushels of ale, and I think she makes it herself on site. But she's a wizard. I ain't got none of that fancy magic.
I happen to have some fancy magic. And I also have an old family recipe. And if we could reproduce it, perhaps...
What if we just put the pig's ears in the ale?
She will actually, like, straight up stare at her for, like, a full 30 seconds and not say anything.
Well, now wait a minute. You're not in... So, not in ale, but I have heard of using a brined... Well, I've heard of it with a brined
We got plenty
fruit,
of brine.
But mixed with spirits, it's actually a drink that I've actually heard is enjoyed on the West Coast.
With pig?
Up in Shelly?
That's a bit new.
I don't think we're going to do it with pig, but I think with fruit we could do it.
Well, if you make the spirit strong enough, people won't care.
I know there's a town not terribly far from here got turnips.
Yeah.
Called, that was something stone. I don't remember.
Far enough away as it is.
What about frying them? If you fry
Frying the pig's ears?
Yeah, if you fry anything, it becomes delicious.
If you pickle anything, it becomes delicious.
That is absolutely 100% not true.
And she just kind of turns a little bit away from you out towards the inn as a whole. And just calls out, "Quick call! We all think of pickles!" And you just get some raised mugs and just scattered here throughout those assembled here. And the bard, Reginald, just kind of shrugs.
Dalren will actually shout out. And along the same lines, what do we think of fried pig?
There's kind of a little bit of muttering and whatnot. And,
Fascinating.
One of them,
I didn't think I'd ever find a room.
and Reginald kind of stands up, looks back at his loot a couple times on the table, every couple steps, just making sure it's all right. Coming up, it comes up to you. Look, my elven friend. I know we haven't met, but it sounds like it tastes quite expensive.
Frying pig? It's the same as pickling it, is it not?
Well, the parts of the pig that the butchers keep may very well be outside of the financial means of a lot of people.
Right, but if we
Good
get
men of this tavern.
But if we get the ears and we fry them instead of pickling them, we're using the same product, we're just cooking it a different way.
There's no meat in the ears to be fried, is there? I'm not a butcher. I'll leave you to your things. Elven magic and whatnot. Thank you for this overview.
Make a quick second. No, it's a good
We're
point.
going to have to do some experimenting.
It's possible, yes. Oh, I'll have to try to think if I can. Goodness, have I ever tried cooking anything?
And she just
Maybe
kinda,
I'll think on it.
Zuri's sort of thinking of it and rubs her chin a little. Well, the butchers fry the pig skin sometimes. I imagine that'll work the same on the ears, but we ain't got nothing. We ain't got a kitchen really.
You don't have a stove here? What
They
kind
don't-
of food do you serve? Is
They
everything
don't serve
pickled?
any food. They only have pickled food
We
and,
got-
and some ale.
I saw some
pickles.
potatoes. Do you serve them raw?
Pickle.
You literally pickle everything. Of course you do. Of course you do.
So we're going to leave you for the rest of the day and do some reconnoitering, and we will be back this evening to discuss with you our plans.
She pickles everything.
But tomorrow, I guess we're just gonna decide.
Zuri just kind of
closed.
shrugs. Well,
We'll be back tomorrow morning very early, before you open.
Everything.
all right. I suppose. I mean, if you can make this work, more power to you. But this sounds like a whole lot of hullabaloo around nothing to me. I don't figure we got a problem with the model. I just need some new faces.
Do you want to save your business?
Well, I don't know necessarily quite mean saving.
Do you want to have more money than you do now?
Yes.
We can make that happen, but you're going to need to trust me.
Buddy, you vouch for this lot?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, they're here to help, and they're honest folk.
Well, then, fair enough, Miss, I forgot.
Resme,
Resme.
I give you my word of honor that I will help you as best I can.
Fantastic.
And they're fancy folks, so, you know, they got a different perspective on literally everything.
Let me take an inventory.
This
I'm just gonna walk into the storeroom again and just start writing things down.
Pickled ears. You got pickled cucumbers. You got some onions. You got some radishes. You have some jars of what appears to be just corn, cobs, and potatoes floating in brine, which you're not even positive can really like absorb it. Those.
Is there any
shove
produce that hasn't been pickled yet?
Well, there is a sack of potatoes and unhusked corn that are just waiting to be pickled. It look like they've been there for quite some time. The sack of corn in particular, you probably shouldn't eat, which maybe explains why everything's pickled.
Does it look like it's starting to grow again?
Well, it looks...
Potatoes have probably started.
like some of our potatoes would have little bits of sprouting coming out of them. Like some of the eyes have started to grow out a bit. And the bag of corn, it's definitely some movement in and around that sack. And several of them are worn down more than they should be.
So we'll go outside and start walking toward kind of the part of town where where I live at any rate. So I'm not sure I've mentioned this before, but my family business is actually an orchard and a distillery. So I know quite a bit about making ciders and wines and spirits. If I have the right ingredients, I'm fairly certain I can come up with something that's both inexpensive and easy to reproduce.
Well, trust your expertise on. She pickles everything.
So,
Dalrin's like personally offended.
Dalrin, we need to find...
How do you serve food and not have a kitchen or a stove?
We need to find a very cheap stove and make her some sort of very thrown together kitchen, because without food this is not going to work.
Yes. I'll see if I can't recall some recipes. I'll check my books. Maybe in my journals I mentioned something somewhere. Something cheap and easy. I could probably put it together. I've had to cook myself before.
Buddy, you know everyone in town.
I sure do. I know every single person in town.
Just
I'm
don't
sure of
assume
it.
their names.
Just,
So,
yeah.
if we wanted to get the word out that, let's say, a week from now, we were going to hold a card competition, a contest where there would be a decent prize, and there would be, food and drink and entertainment, and could you get that word around? That it would be happening, and it would be happening at the PIG'S EAR, that is undergoing renovation and is going to be brand new.
Well, let's not be crazy with brand new.
Let's slow your roll a little bit.
Well, I think we could, if we start with, I know the Burton boys, the town councilor we met, they're, an interesting sort of fellow. I don't know if I'd go into business with them directly, but they'd be interested in a gambling tournament, and they would certainly call people around. They got the power they need.
A sponsorship. That could work.
I like that.
And you would know that Burton and them, they run a masonry.
And they
is
built
what he owns.
they've done built most of this town around here. They
He's one of the two main stoneworkers in Breach Hill.
and the other one's newer, and he's encroaching on territory.
He's been around for a bit.
But he's encroaching on dangerous territory, but I ain't gonna step on his toes.
Well, if he's actually interested in encroaching into dangerous territory and is willing to take some risks, he might actually be interested in maybe trying to get his name out there by sponsoring an event. It could get us the coin up front that we would need to actually put in this little kitchen for them to be able to do something with.
Well, he's a dwarven fellow. He's real stout. His name is Craig. And
Well, I
Off the list.
I speak Dwarvish. I've had many
he
dealings
speaks common. He's a real nice gent. He's just real straight laced and ain't taking no lip.
Yeah, you would know that Crag, he owns Tuskhead Stoneworking and runs it largely just with himself and a brother. And they are in fact pretty new. They've been around for less than a decade. And his main business is just doing commissions for walkways and tombstones because, I mean, Burton, the town head counselor, kind of owns the main stonemasonry in town. Odd how he does most of the work. But
So,
Sounds like a slight conflict of interest.
a little bit, maybe.
Small town.
perhaps we can introduce ourselves.
Well, I think if you're looking for getting a lot of business, you may want to go with Burton fellows.
Yes, but Burton, well, we should definitely ask him because
We don't want to annoy
we
him.
wouldn't want to offend our paymaster, and certainly it would be good to present him with the opportunity. I suspect that's along of the more official routes that I suppose Rur might be looking
Well, we
into.
don't have to go to him directly. I mean, he's a counselor. He's got stuff to do. But his sons, they get up to a lot of business around town. They've got a lot more time and a lot more interest for
Make me a
extracurricular.
society check, because you've probably never had the need nor the money to hire a Burton stonemason
No,
directly.
definitely not. I made my own house. Nobody goes messing around with those guys. Okay, so my society's 0, so that's an 8.
With an 8, you just know it's a family business. You're not entirely positive who actually runs the day-to-day of the place, or
Yeah.
it'll be worth contacting.
Perhaps I can ask around. At any rate, I have an official position here, so at least I should be able to get a basic audience. It would be rude to refuse me.
I'd like to think we're in reasonable good graces of the town.
You are also official town heroes at this point. You went to the Call for Heroes. You do what was asked of you. You saved Warble and Chill and the Bumble Brashers.
A good portion of people in the Senate Hall.
Yeah, and a bunch of people there. You arrested Calmont. So, I mean, you guys have done good work here, for sure.
Why don't we pay him a visit?
Fair enough. I suppose I'll look into seeing what I can go figure out with pricing out how much a stove is going to be to put in here and get an idea as far as those lines. Maybe I can find some recipes to do with my meager stores. And he looks at his list.
Right across the road from this Pig's Ear is Layman's Lament, and the owner of that, a real nice girl by the name of...
Yeah, you're good on that one. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Real nice,
Not a Patreon
Renetta.
names for today. So you're good. You're safe for now.
Renetta is actually, she's a real good chef. She cooks down, that's what she does, Layman's Lament, she feeds people who, need food that run in, and maybe you could, we could make deal with her, 'cause she can cook. She can cook out of nothing, that woman. She can make things happen.
Well, it's slightly we have something slightly better than nothing to work with, so maybe it might not be a bad idea.
Caterer.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
And not to mention, the whole point is to get people interested in staying. If we have a bunch of people from the outside that everyone knows coming to cook, they just
There's
won't
no
come here
point.
for food. They'll go somewhere
I
else,
agree,
wherever the
and-
person is.
And we need a
Monocle
sick.
chain fell off.
I know. I've been trying
It's
to.
not wanting to stay.
The show must go on. No, actually, something happened. I hit it and it just popped off, and so.
Oh, it's not supposed to detach.
No, it is not. In fact,
no.
This is a prop failure that I am professionally trying to work
We've
with.
had a wardrobe malfunction.
And you called me out
it's
on
only
it.
episode 7. We can't be doing those yet.
The show must go on.
show must
and
go on.
GM
Wrong
is-
campaign.
I'm going to fix it in the break, but it's okay. It's okay.
I just didn't know if you hadn't noticed that it followed.
I have,
I
actually.
assumed it was a clippy thingy and just got knocked off.
No, the
'Cause I
clippy
knew
thing
was
is it clips onto my nose. The chain is supposed to go right there. I have to fix it with a pair of pliers. This has become far more noticeable to the stream than I had actually intended for it to be. But I will fix it during the break. I have confidence I will be able to
Thanks.
do that.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Dalrin, coming out of the Rough and Tumble Tavern, has lost his monocle chain, but
So
otherwise,
Someone stole
largely
it.
unscathed.
I think we're going to need some sort of signature dish. I think it can be something very simple, but it has to be something that only her tavern has.
Yeah, it's
Pig
like they're
ears.
called the pickled ear or
They're
something.
called
Pig's
pig's
ear.
ears.
But we need to make it something that people actually want to eat.
The pickled ears ain't bad. I mean, you didn't even try any, so I feel like you're stepping off on a foot here trying to help a company that you never even gave a chance.
And I honestly feel that if you put it in a strong enough with a strong enough spirit, no one's going to care what it tastes like.
If you fry it, no one's going to care either.
I think we should do all three.
Oh, that's good. A pig flight.
As many things as you can possibly do with a pig's ear,
We
and
can do
still
that.
have it be edible, technically. I suppose that could actually work.
We are going a bit hog wild, but I like it.
Oh my goodness.
Give me your session reroll. You don't get that. You've lost your reroll privileges.
Go to the corner.
gods
That costs
smote
a hero
it
point.
away.
So, do you want to go do some research? And I will go speak to the town councilor, I suppose.
I suppose we should best do that. Very well.
So, Rur, you headed off with Tyrannus to. Well, what are you after? What is your adventure here?
Well, he said he's following me,
He's
so
following you. He has lost control of the situation and is now following a halfling through Breach Hill.
we're heading
Two
off
halberds.
to Town Hall
Okay.
first. And while we're on the way there, discussing the in and outs of what we just left behind us, and the reason being, because the laws in Breach Hill are so non-existent,
Minimal.
there's not really much of a point in trying to enforce things based on our own moral compasses that no one else around here is going to care about.
Well,
I don't like it either, but it's not illegal here.
well then. Fair, I suppose. It's ridiculous, but I do suppose it is not illegal in a place where I do not have the numbers or possibly even the basic grasp of the Taldane language to create laws.
For the time being, let's just do our part outside of the tavern, let them figure out what they need to do with it, and just distance ourselves from the issue. We have
Well.
other things to figure out in the meantime.
Right through. What are we doing then?
Well, first, let's go report what's been happening to the council. At least let somebody know. Inform the guards that we'll be bringing by some prisoners that need to be fed and cared for. And hopefully by the time we get back, it'll be the majority of our day, so hopefully by the time we get back, they will have come up with some kind of solution that we can work on.
So you guys head into the town hall then, and obviously, given who you are, it's quite easy for you to get an audience with well, anybody that you need to speak to, really. But as soon as you go into the front and speak with the secretary and one of the pages, Miss Gardania, one of the head counselors, comes by with some papers she's taking to the secretary and sees you, Rur, and doesn't recognize Tyrannus, but sees you. Oh, Ashbloom, I'm terribly sorry about the whole situation. But rest assured, nobody's holding it against you or your friends. You did what was asked of you. This was our fault entirely.
What situation do you refer to specifically?
Have you been out of town these last few days? Did you
Quite
actually
literally.
return up to Citadel Altarian?
Yes.
Head Councilor Burton had said you intended to, but I didn't expect you. Impressive. Impressive dedication, Ashbloom.
Thank you.
But, no, about Calmont's escape.
That makes sense. All right.
Well,
so
I'm doubly sorry then to be the one to have had to tell you. But again, this is no fault of yours. It's you did all that was asked of you. This is on us and the town guard. But I guess we had underestimated what he was capable of.
I believe we might know where he went. We may have some clues into this. If we can catch him again, we will.
This
It's a matter of safety. I'm not going to just let him run
and
free.
she kind of grits her teeth a bit. Ashbloom, we very much appreciate your services given to Breachill at the Call for Heroes, and did fantastic work bringing him in once, but he's dangerous. We don't even know what he's capable of. By Abadar, none of us here even knew he was capable of magic.
We found evidence in the Citadel of Necromancy being performed on some of the entombed bodies.
Maybe where he had practiced then.
It happened within the last 3 days.
Do not give yourselves into whatever rumors are flying about town. Suffice it to say that we underestimated whatever he could do. Calmont escaped a few days ago, and we have no real indication or evidence as to where or why or what he's even after. But first setting the town hall aflame and retreating back to that citadel, and now this. I won't pry into what's kept you on this path, but I just hope you tread it safely. Anyway, what brings you to town hall?
Well, partially sharing this news between each other, I suppose. We returned and found the underlying problem with the Bumblebrashers.
Well, let us not stand here in the entryway. Come to my office, and I'll rouse the page and make sure we have this all properly recorded. It may come to be important now with this whole developing Calmon situation. And Miss Gardania takes you about to her office and lets you...
and then we'll just recount everything that happened.
And gets a page and largely just recounts everything that you've found throughout Altarian and going down into the basements below, and then whatever the necromantic ritual was, and the horde of skeletons and the wards and all that.
Up to needing to borrow some guys to go up and bring our prisoners down.
Now, the town has very little in the way of
I don't need guards.
actual guards. Yeah.
I don't need necessarily guards to bring them down. I need a place for them to stay in town.
There's not none. And she offers up, given this whole situation, everything that's happening, she doesn't know what's going on. But at this point, you are both a cleric of Sarenrae, and you have already enamored yourself to the council with this resounding success of the Call for Heroes. Can I help you, children?
Are we being loud?
No, it's just funny.
Oh.
Feel like a teacher trying to have class and kids whispering in the corner over here.
Hey, he's really tall. You ever notice how tall he is? Just
She would she would be more than happy to allow you to use the jail and the town hall. One of its cells to hold whatever it is you're going to bring in. She doesn't understand these cultists. She has no input on what these beastmen, these monkey people are, and she really just doesn't know how to weigh on it. But she realizes at this point that you clearly know much more of the situation than she does. And you have Tyrannus with you, and she definitely knows what a Hell Knight is.
Yeah,
and
that's part of the reason he's with me this.
You are a priest of Sarenrae and a Hell Knight of the Order of the Nail coming
Something is wrong.
to ask a town councilor whose life you have already directly saved from a roaring fire if they have a place you could store some prisoners. You know what? Sure. I think we can manage that one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can absolutely bring the monkey men back to a jail cell in town.
Yeah, so that'll just be the rest of our day.
The rest of the afternoon will be largely walking up to Citadel Altarian, heading downstairs to the monkey men that you've just left burritoed in their greasy tent wrappings. And
would we get a couple guys to go with us?
you would be able to get a pair of guards to come with you as well to make the whole effort more straightforward. And these two creatures at this point have been there for like almost 24 hours now.
Yep.
They're very tired, they're very hungry, they're very thirsty, and even the more combative of the pair is pretty much submissive now. He is willing to just be shackled and led along back into town, and
With warm clothes now.
with clothes. Yeah, he bundle him up so he does not freeze to death in the cloudy sky out in midwinter.
Mm-hmm.
This weird jungle beast who would almost certainly die given the really much longer than that walk down far back the blooping bluff into town. Yeah, that really is most of your afternoon.
Yep.
So, other side of the table. This actually works out really well. I've got this easy divide here on who's doing what.
Come on,
Planning has
Tyrannus,
been
let's
taking
go.
place.
Yes.
So what
Seriously?
I hesitate to ask is going on over here.
So, I'm gonna need to do a little bit of recipe tweaking. So I'm gonna need to buy some ingredients so that I can figure out what's simple and easy to serve that he can do with what we have that is signature to this tavern.
Okay, so you're trying to get a signature cocktail for the PIG'S EAR here. Okay.
And
So-
a signature meal.
So I get the feeling that's step 1 of many.
Oh, yeah.
What is step 2? Or is that just... yeah, let's just get the whole plan laid out here. What is step 2?
So step 2 is we're going to have to go speak to Barton, but we can't just go there. So I would go and I would ask for an appointment, but I wouldn't just bust in there and say, I want to talk to you now, because he's an important person. So we would go and we would ask him for a meeting, perhaps the next day or whenever it was convenient for him.
If you are looking to go to Burton Bros, which is like the actual... I mean, they have a storefront. You don't have to contact the head counselor of the town to work with his masonry company. They have a shop front you can go to
Okay,
and just talk
then-
to somebody
then we'll
there.
go.
That's perfectly fine. Okay, so step 1, ingredients. Step 2, Burton Bros masonry.
Right.
Is there a step 3?
Step 3 is going to be card tournament and trying to fit. Well, actually, step 3 for Dalren is actually going to be going to the bookstore to see if he can find himself some recipe books that work with the stuff that we have around here, as opposed to having to try to remember if he wandered around and happened to pick some up in his elven travels.
Is there a step 4?
Oh, yeah.
Step 4.
Step 4 is we're going to need to clean that place up. So I'm going to make like a fairy
It's gonna
and
take
use
some,
the magic.
some effort, some downtime, many casts of prestidigitation, I'm sure.
We're also going to need, I'm guessing there's vermin.
Probably.
I
Seen.
I will use pest form to turn into a cat to hunt them all down.
Technically, you would only need to use
So-
prestidigitation on, like, tough things to clean. Everything else you could just do normally.
Yeah.
But why would you do it normally when you can cast prestidigitation?
Because eventually your arms fall off.
Eventually your arms are gonna fall off cleaning normally.
Yeah, that's going to take longer.
They're like equally exhausting, I figure. So, okay, so you pest form? What exactly does that bestow upon you? Does it give you the cat? Does it make you look like a cat?
No,
or
it
does
literally
it give you the cat-like ability
No,
to
it
hunt
literally
rats?
turns me into a cat and gives me all of the cat abilities.
Tiny
it's
animal.
it's called a tiny animal battle form.
I don't know why they call it a battle form, but
This cat's
Doesn't
AC.
use the word battle form.
Yep,
Are
this
you a level
cat's
3
AC is actually higher than Resme's.
All right, hold on.
Are you a level 3 cat?
You can one-on-one a rat where we could barely 5-on-3 rat.
5-on-3, like gigantic rats. These are regularly sized rats.
I
Okay.
also get imprecise
Oh,
scent.
you
I
tr-
get all of their
You
acrobatics. and s-
transform the battle form of a tiny animal. It does say battle form. You transform into the battle form of a tiny. What is the battle form of an animal?
Dude, I'm going to war with these vermin, and I need my battle form.
I
What is the battle form of a cat?
I suspect battle form is actually has like some kind of like rule set buried in the core book
It's
somewhere.
got barding, like cat-sized barding on its body.
You're just like really muscly.
It's just jacked walking on fists. Like, what is the battle form of a house cat?
My AC actually goes up by 1 when I'm in cat form.
AC equals 15 plus your level. Yep, okay.
Battle form.
Your speed drops to 10. You get weakness 5 to physical damage because you're tiny. You can smell things. Interesting. Okay.
So I literally become a cat.
Meow.
So, this is interesting. Yeah, your acrobatics modifier just changes to plus 10.
Yes, no, I'm literally a cat.
You are actually a cat. Well, alright, that is fair enough. You become a battle-formed cat, ready to do cat things to stuff. Oh, okay, so cleansing the PIG'S EAR, dealing with the vermin, is step 5.
Well, then we're going to talk to Councilman Burton to see if we can convince him to host a tournament with us.
Doesn't have to be councilman.
We'll call it the Tournament of Heroes.
But you could call it Deck This Out.
I don't know if we want to brand it as a heroes because they have the heroes thing. It's fairly important to them, and
Well, that probably would get people's attention though.
yeah, but it'd be branded off. The councilman would probably want a piece of it. It'd probably get real complicated. I don't know.
So the beginning of this sounds like you want to go to Quarters and Bits to just get some ingredients and whatnot. You want to head to the Burton Bros Masonry, and you want to head to the Reliant Book Company for recipe books.
We're also going to need to sell a bunch of the stuff that we got up there that's not particularly useful to us, but the money is particularly useful to us. Like, we have a long list of things that we actually need to sell.
Fair enough. So you got 3 places and 3 people here. So are you splitting this, or are you nuggeting around?
I think we should nugget.
Nugget?
Yeah.
Nugget it up. All right, fair enough.
Montage time.
So first, you stop by Quarters and Bits, both because that is Breach Hill's general store, as well as its blacksmith, which is very likely going to be where you're going to sell pretty much everything you're trying to offload. In addition to the easiest place, you're going to be able to get bits of seasonings and salt and recipe ingredients that you want. So as you come in, what are you looking for? You're welcomed in pretty immediately by Crink, the eccentric-ish. Eccentric's not necessarily the right word. He's just very excitable. This man here. He's always immediately identifiable because he's not dressed for the job you want, dressed for what you want to be. He is dressing like he runs a much larger store in a town much larger than Breach Hill, but he takes his business very seriously.
I like it.
And Crink comes around, runs the general side of things. We'll hand you off the clack at the Goblin Blacksmith for any kind of weapons and whatnot you wanted to offload. I imagine you would at least have several.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff.
Well, we actually don't have as many because we gave a fair number of them to Sal when he
Yeah,
set up
Sal Swordporium did get most of the silvered weapons.
Did we only have one silvery flail left, but we do have we have some potions that we can get rid of that we don't really need. We have
a bunch of silver and stone figures.
We still have a bunch of silver and stone figures.
We have the obsidian set.
That's what that's basically it's a Warhammer army.
Yeah. Warhammer army made out of little obsidian figurines. So yeah,
just raw materials essentially.
The flail you'll be able to pretty easily pawn off for 21 gold to clack it. It will easily make you that deal just because the amount of silver plated around that flail, and it's fairly well made, even if it's not particularly extravagant or fancy. Easy 21 gold pieces. And most of the rest of that you could offload to Crink in the general store, with the exception of the big array of little obsidian pieces. And when you come around to that in your negotiations here, you're looking down at it, well, I got to say, I don't think I really got a whole lot of use for these. These are, what are these things after all? Little game pieces? Figurines?
They're made of obsidian. The material is worth more than the object.
And he picks them up, and he's got a monocle, kind of similar to Dalren's, but it's more like a jeweler's glass.
Loop, yeah.
That he looks down at these things, and he holds them up real close and adjusts it a bit as he peers at it. Looks like it's telling the truth as far as I can tell, which is interesting. They're a fine make, certainly. Perhaps. I feel like you might be able to get a better deal. I can only give you so much, really, for the materials here. Whereas an oddity like this might be more in the realm of... And the door opens as somebody else enters the shop, and he just looks up. Oh, Voss! Spectacular! Just what I was going to mention. And you... save you a trip here.
Thank
you.
you.
See what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing?
Oh, A plus GM
Creative,
right there.
On the fly troubleshooting.
Oh, Vaz is the half-elf, right?
Vaz is the half-elf owner of the Reliant Book Company, yes.
She and I are really good friends.
I think you are friends. I think you are friends. I think you are friends.
I sell my books at her place.
Not that you're at least very acquainted with each other. And Vaz comes in, and she is usually a fairly tall, severe half-elf who's got her hair back in a very tight ponytail like she always does. She's very pale. She does not go outside terribly often. She pretty much literally lives in that book company, just running everything largely herself up until, well, you know.
I mean, Espis goes outside all the time, and he's just as pale, so...
But he's a full elf.
I can't tell the difference for those things.
But she is really encumbered. She has a huge pack on with what looks like several bits of like a bedroll or an entire tent lashed up on top of it, as well as an assortment of things, a lot of different books and pans dangling down below. And she's almost hunched over
Going
from the weight of this thing, and just has this massive green travel cloak on. And she comes in and looks up at the
Going
group here.
traveling, boss.
Ah, Dalren, resume. Unfortunately, yes, I fear I have to.
Why?
And she just gives you a strange, almost confused look.
Did something happen? We've been out of town for the past few days.
Well, to my understanding, you lot did. You brought Calmont back,
Well, yes, but no one blames you for his misdeeds, surely.
so I'd like to think. Breach Hill's not a particularly large town, and didn't get a whole lot of business in the first place. Just enough to stay afloat, really. I finally take your advice, Dalren, and take on an apprentice, and he sets the town hall on fire.
Yes, that was a poor judge of character, I must say.
Bad luck, that.
He seemed interested enough when I brought him on, though not particularly bright, admittedly. No, I've had not a soul in the shop for the past few days. I don't know how much you're going to be coming by once this word gets out. You know, and she looks over to Crank as well and just kind of nods. You'd know, Twiddleton. The effort you have to put forth here as a halfling. Everyone here in Breach Hill, always so suspicious of anyone just the slightest bit different. And she just nods to you two as well. As damn near the only 3 elves in town. I imagine you get it as much as I.
Perhaps I've been around. I've been around the continent enough. I tend to not even notice anymore. But certainly, I've never tried starting a business amongst them. Must be difficult.
You deal with it as it is, but I think this whole mess with Calmont might have been the death blow to the Reliant Book Company, unfortunately.
Well, feels terrible to say so. Maybe you could set up somewhere else.
And she just nods to the pile of bedroll and tent on her shoulders. That was my plan, more or less. Don't have the money for a cart or anything from Vusker, but didn't have much worth carrying anyway.
Well, now hold on just a moment. Perhaps if. No. There's nothing personal in this. This is simple superstition. First off, Breach Hill probably doesn't have the greatest population of readers in the first place. Certainly, I learned that the first time I tried selling a few travel logs. However, perhaps simply what we need is just a change of image for you. Tell you what, we were actually considering.
Dalren.
No! Please let me finish. Let me finish.
Appreciate the concern, but I've neither the coin nor, truth be told, the will to continue trying to make way here.
Well, if your will is gone, then there's nothing for you. But if you wanted, I am in need of a recipe book, and perhaps you'll, if you would care to put your name on an event we're putting together, it might actually get your name out a bit. Rush up your image, perhaps? Maybe save the store?
She just shrugs a little at this point. Kyle, slowly kneels down to the ground to shrug her pack off onto the floor before she straightens back up. Clearly a little more than a little bit in pain from hauling this thing around. She is a very thin and a frail half-elven woman, not particularly strong. And she pops her neck back and forth before raising her hands up to her temples. I don't know what you've gotten into with this Dalren, and truth be told, I'd love to help, but I've not the coin nor the time. I've spent the last couple days preparing for this relocation, and closed down the shop, and really just stopped in here for some supplies for the road.
Is your stock all spoken for then? All well and done?
Of course not. Simply condemned the shop and locked the door. But I suppose I could grab a cookbook for you if you're so inclined. I'm sure Twiddleton has plenty. I have not much more in that department than he'll have here at quarters.
Oh.
Certainly none I'd penned myself.
Well, surely one last sale for the road.
And Twiddleton puts his hands up. No, I understand. It's an unfortunate situation, Miss Lorraine, but Ivy needs covered here, Golarion. There's plenty of recipe manuals, cookbooks here that you could use. And heads back to a small little bookshelf he has that takes up about one half of one of the side walls of the shop and starts thumbing through things. And Voss just kind of shrugs with a grim smile. There you go. Needs taken care of. I really do appreciate the concern, Golarion and Resme, and it's good to see what few friendly faces this town has on the way out, I suppose.
This is just unfair. You
No,
didn't
it
do
was-
anything wrong, and being an elf or a half-elf, there's no difference. We're all alive and basically have the same wants and goals in life.
Well, I made my best way through it, and what is it that's... And she nods to your pendant. What is it, that aphorism of all said? The road to progress is not always forward.
It's true enough. I suppose sometimes you must also go backward if you wish to go forward.
Breach Hill's culture will be worse off without you.
Non-existent, I dare to say, almost.
I walk up and lift up her backpack and like struggle, and like even with just like heft, struggle to pick it up, and I'm like, "Well, ma'am, you can't be talking. You won't make it anywhere if you've got to pack this heavy. You know, I've got a mule that I ain't doing nothing with. If you need something to carry."
You know,
I don't know that we've met. I
Well, if you're
appreciate
friends
your
of them,
charity,
you're friends
but,
of mine. My name's Buddy.
Voss Lorraine.
I guess you had that bookstore downtown. I've never had any need for books, but I've heard some people use them for, you know, various reasons, I guess.
Well,
Breach Hill's culture will
then
be
she looks to
sorely worse without you, boss.
I suppose this is largely the breach hill that will be left.
But here. Now, I had this donkey protecting my farm. He's a real good donkey here, but now that my boys are old enough to protect the farm themselves,
you had a donkey protecting your farm?
well, yeah. What else would you have a donkey for?
Aren't they typically used for pulling things?
Well, he also pulls the plow sometimes, but he doesn't really need to. The boys will do that.
Does he bark when people come near?
He'll tear your head right off, that donkey.
Oh,
They can be fairly territorial animals, I suppose.
But now since these boys have grown up, I wouldn't mind loaning you this donkey, and you know he'd be perfectly good at carrying a good pack.
Well, as much as I appreciate the gesture of good faith, I'm afraid it wouldn't be much of a loan if I can't.
Well,
truly
he's
return
getting
it
old
to you.
anyways. You know, I may be loaning him out down to Pharasma soon. He's a good trip down the road may do him some good. I can go get him. It'll be good right in a jiffy. Don't worry about it.
And are you like, do you just?
I
It
just
sounds like
start
you just
walking
leave.
out the
Yeah,
door.
just knowing you and Buford, you just leave. And she just looks after you as you walk out.
see there, Voss. Some hospitality at the very least, even if it is only out the door.
He's
Voss,
a
you could stay with
friendly
me.
sort. No, it's fine, Resme. I have packed up what books I still have of value and what things worth the travel, but I figure it's not a terrible time to leave much of it behind. I'm not sure what I'll do with the book company itself as of yet. I just simply shuttered the doors. I'd like to believe that
Well,
should a windfall come my way later, I could either return to run it myself or send someone, but
what stock do you have remaining?
in the shop,
Yeah.
near everything. I can't cart a bookstore on my back.
Well, what would you consider to be its worth?
Altogether, I don't know, maybe 200, 300 gold pieces if I could find buyers for some of the older and more esoteric parts.
Well,
That's the problem in Breach Hill, though, isn't it?
Afraid so. And tell you what, simply shuttering a shop, especially one that has stock in it, and then leaving town is hardly an ideal situation, especially if you might someday have any hope left of doing anything with the merchandise. What if perhaps we arranged some sort of, I don't know, a consignment arrangement,
I
perhaps?
was
And
just
she,
going to say that.
She turns to Crink. Twiddleton, need picks and shovels. The road up into the Five Kings Mountains is ill-maintained.
You're going into the mountains?
I had thought to head to the dwarves. My studies of them have been interesting, and to my understanding of their culture, they place much higher value on knowledge and written word than, well, she just gestures ambiguously to the entirety of Breach Hill.
You're not wrong.
Besides, I speak a fair bit of Dwarven. Won't be too terribly difficult, I suppose. I hear are much more welcoming of travelers these days.
Well, perhaps we can look after your business while you're gone.
I really do appreciate it, Resme, but there's no need. Who in Breach Hill is going to steal books? Half of Breach Hill can't even read.
Well, I'd like to have some of your books. Perhaps I can buy some of them from you. It would give you some coin to go and reinvest with.
And she'll kneel down to her bag. Say, well,
I've had a bit of a windfall.
I wanted to keep this. I have a few copies, just as an interest of a personal record of where I've come from. And she jostles around there and pulls out a moderately sized tome that she bound in the back of her store herself in just simple brown leather. And across its cover, there's a brief history of Breach Hill. I've been working with Jorel some time ago, trying to put some of this together at the archives. There's not much of the town's history itself, and I thought maybe as being one of the few stories I was around to witness myself, it could have some value to dwarven kind. But never got it quite finished, and what I have now is scant.
Well,
Largely built on assumptions and guesswork.
maybe I could finish it.
Well, I bound the books as they were, and she hands it to you. But if you wish to write it yourself and pick up where I'd left, I'd hope at least it's a good start.
I should like that very much.
You've been a good friend to me, Resme. It's a pity how this all shook out. But no, I don't
Tell
want
me.
to pry any further into that damned halfling's affairs.
No, talk to me. Because honestly, some of the things he was saying were very odd and concerned my goddess, Alceta.
That was just the thing. I'm half elven, but I've precious little knowledge of elven kind, especially their religion. I found some notes behind that Calmond had assembled. I was surprised. I didn't think he could write. I don't know if this was all even his apprenticeship was just a front to get to this books or research or what. But he'd spoken of something called Alceta's Ring.
I know, he told me that too. Is there any way you could show me what materials he was looking at?
I could barely read his hand. But he didn't seem to have much, truth be told. I'd hoped you could elucidate me.
Well, do you know what books he was referencing?
Nothing. He didn't leave anything around other than his own personal ramblings.
Do you have them?
Why would I bring them with me?
But they're back at the store. They're back at the shop.
I burned them away. I didn't want to remember that.
That's
It
lovely.
hardly seemed useful. He'd barely put anything together besides that phrase. Something about teleportation, and seemed to be under the impression it was a Citadel Altarian of all places.
Yes, indeed.
We're
It is there,
familiar.
actually. But yeah, so it's a darn shame about his notes. That could have been quite useful.
Would you mind if I took a poke through some of the books to see if I could find what he was working on?
She got rid of them all, unfortunately. Is that what you said?
His notes are gone, yes. I
Yes.
don't know what books he'd referenced. He didn't have a hoard laying around. I would have noticed that. I don't know when he had the time to assemble all of this, but it's already getting into the afternoon. I need to be underway. I shouldn't even be waiting for this donkey your friend is bringing.
Oh, believe you me, once you get up into the foothills, you'll be glad you did.
Probably. And wait I shall, but I really don't have time to run back and unlock the store and find anything that may be useful if charred scraps of paper would even serve you well.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
But it's not. You know of this as well,
Oh,
Golarion.
he wouldn't stop talking about it when we apprehended him. Certainly, he just went on and on about it. But it turns out it's actually accurate. There actually is some sort of teleportation something
Why was-
up in the Citadel.
What purpose did he see in it?
Uh,
Where would he have to go?
A non-specific amount of money that he would get from somewhere. He hadn't really thought it through very well, which is surprising considering the length of time he'd been working on his deception. It's peculiar how some people can hold a concept in their mind that simply obsesses them to such a point, but not see something so plain as a consequence.
As I said, his notes were the ramblings of a madman, leading
I-
nowhere and barely legible at that.
I really don't think he's working alone. I very much doubt he got that idea into his head by himself.
No. He clearly was working on his own.
He's no family that I know of.
That just makes him more vulnerable.
But to who? To what?
I don't know, but there is some sort of... Someone is making all of this happen, and it's not Calmont.
Yeah, it's accurate. Probably quite true, actually.
Well, if you're the new heroes of Breach Hill, so I hear. Should you find them, for my sake, if no one else, bring them justice.
Of course. That's
Boss?
what we do.
I have a gift for you.
I
We found these obsidian pieces when we were up at Citadel Altarian. I'd like you to have a couple to take with you to remember us by.
And she takes one, a full plate clad Hell Knight in his armor with the demonic face and in the breastplate, and she looks over. These are Hell Knights, it appears, carved of pure obsidian. Resume. I'm sure Twiddleton would give you quite a precious amount of gold for these.
We won't miss one or two, and you can sell them.
And honestly, he didn't seem terribly interested, believe it or not. He suggested we come see you about them, but as you've closed shop, perhaps you can find a use for it.
Yeah, certainly interesting.
I thought so too.
Besides, not a bad
Around
goodbye
this point,
present.
Buford comes back
You
with
hear
a
like
donkey.
this donkey,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that sound can only mean one thing.
Unpleasant braying in the
Yeah.
distance as Buford like drags a donkey in. And Voss kind of turns to look towards the door, hearing these sounds outside. Are we sure this creature of his is going to help?
It'll at least carry your pack for quite some time, and believe you me, someone who's been on several journeys before, walking through the foothills is far more tiring than they look.
I'd certainly appreciate not having to bear the load, if nothing else.
Like, hey, now right here is
You're
blue.
bringing the donkey in the store.
Well, I'm right in front, you know. I'm
You're like
not
at
gonna
holding
bring
the
it in
door open,
door.
pointing at your donkey.
Yeah. Right here is Blue. He'll take good care of you, and he's also a pretty good protector. Now, Blue, this right here is Vaz. You better protect her with your life, you know. And I say she's got a pack here, and she's now. Where are you headed, Miss?
North.
North. Now
Into the
she's
Five
headed
Kings
north. Now
Mountains.
you better help her get up north here. I tell you what, if I hear that you've been acting weird, you know, being a hooligan, we're gonna have words next time we meet. You hear me? You hear me,
Foz
Blue?
looks not convinced about the value of the donkey, but nonetheless, drags her mighty pack over to the thing and, with great effort, hefts it up on a shoulder towards the donkey and takes a length of rope that she has hanging on the edge of it, and you two work together to just kind of lash it across the donkey's back here and secure it. And as you're done, she looks at you. I don't know how to thank you.
Now, no words are needed here. We're a family around here, and I sure see you need the help, and I have the help to give.
If only more in Breach Hill shared your mindset.
Yeah, more than you'd think, you know. They're an interesting folk, but they get along.
Not much for reading, I'm afraid, but
And
Well,
around
I
the same
don't see
time,
what.
Twiddleton comes back in. He's been coming in and out with some of these supplies that Voz has been asking for. An extra water skin, a bundle of rations, some more rope, a large shovel, and a mining pick that she adds on this thing that she's got lashed up on the donkey here. And she, out of a little purse on her hip, dumps out everything she's got, which looks like it's 2 gold pieces, 4 silver, and a little smattering of coppers.
No,
And
I
counts.
got it. I got it. Please, let me at least do this. We're more than friends. You've been like a sister to me here.
And Crane kind of turns from her to you. Well, I must say, Miss Resme, that's very, very charitable of you. Helping a friend in need. That'll be
375
17
gold
silver and 3 copper pieces.
Does that sound accurate, or is he inflating the price because he knows I'm paying him?
That I mean, it looks well enough. I mean, that's
Okay.
like 1.7 gold.
Okay,
For like a shovel and a mining pick and some rope
That's
and water
fine.
skins and rations. Like it
I'll
seems right.
I'll hand it over.
So you hand him over 17 silver pieces.
Yep.
And he counts them through, and Voz just closes her hand on the money and puts it back in the little purse. I only hope that someday I can pay you back for all you've done for me, Resume.
In Elvish, she'll say, "May we meet in fairer weather, my friend."
Now the wry smile straightens herself up. Well then, I really do need to be going. There's only so much daylight. I hope to make some amount of distance from Breach Hill before I have to break for the night's camp. Thank you.
Oh, buddy. You can just call me buddy.
Buddy. And she looks up
And
at
that's
you,
Blue, by the way. I don't know if I
looks up
mentioned
at
his
your
name.
hat and back down.
And I cover my head.
You went home, actually.
Yeah,
Did
you
you
finally have
Oh,
a new
yeah.
one.
I have a nice,
It's
shiny,
exactly the same as the old
shiny
one.
new hat.
identical brand new hat
And I-
perched on Buddy's head.
I tip
If you
my
go into
hat at
Buddy's
her.
closet, they're just
Yeah, I tip my hat at her and,
It's just hats.
you know.
Well, thank you, Buddy. A very charitable gift indeed from a stranger. Ren, Resume.
good luck, boss.
good luck. Come back soon if you can.
Or write if you can't. We'll
And
read it.
With that, she starts attempting to lead this donkey. This is somewhat
He's fairly well trained. Hey, Blue, get up there right now. I'm telling you, man.
belligerent as he just sits there, grumpy about the huge amount of stuff he has strapped onto his back. And with Voz's departure there, that's a perfectly fine time for us to take our midstream break, I suppose.
I do have to pee.
I also have to pee, which is generally how I measure when it's time to take breaks. Like, oh, I gotta pee. It's gotta be around breaking time.
It's the literal stream break.
I'll try to fix this in less than 10 minutes.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe in your powers. But, chat, those of you here in the stream, we'll be right back in a couple of minutes. And then we've got a
We got
bar
cider to
makeover.
make. Yes! Makeover! You better work. Cover girl.
We've had. We're really doing this. Okay, well, I'll be right back. This is a thing that's happening. Welcome back, everyone. Let us continue our show here. So as we left off, you guys had spent probably the large amount of the rest of the afternoon there bartering with Crank and Quarters and Bits, trying to offload a lot of your goods and make some gold. You've got some various elixirs. You have the rest of these Onyx figurines, which he will buy. You would have given a pair of them to Vaz, but that still leaves you with a good amount of them. And those all together, they're solid onyx, and they're well carved, and Crink's not really happy about it, but they are pretty valuable little things. He's gonna give you 16 gold pieces
Rockin'.
for the remainder. But also selling off what weapons you have left, that silvered flail, the onyx dog pet figurine thing from the Cinder Claws. I couldn't remember the cultist name for a moment there. Dealing with all of that and all of your bartering will probably take the majority of the rest of the afternoon until the sun has largely started to set down. Maybe 2 hours left of sunlight around the time where Rur and Tyrannus return from their adventures at the Citadel Altarian and return from bringing the monkey people back into the town's custody and jailing them in the town hall where Kalmud had once been. Mirne 1116 with 8,000 channel points is going to give out a hero point to Golarion.
Ooh.
Go forth and share some knowledge, perhaps with a shorter anecdote than normal, though, is the message.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
We'll
Well
take that
done.
with you.
So, talk more but less. Got it.
Less is more.
Use
Less
words.
is more.
Yeah, use words that have more meaning.
Use bigger, more evocative words.
Hmm.
So, as the day is winding down, and the group of you reconvene here in Breach Hill with the Tyrannus once again, what is it that you are... is there anything else you want to accomplish today? You've
Well,
gotten...
I needed to buy some stuff from him.
Right, you want to buy a recipe book? And
I'm gonna need a sack of corn, a sack of apples, some salt, some sugar, some figs, and some clover and a little bit of vanilla.
okay, I'm going to put that all at about probably a silver piece.
Sure.
Maybe like 1.5 silver pieces, because that's all very cheap and readily available things. The most expensive of which would be an
The
amount of the
cinnamon.
well, honestly, the figs
Probably
and the
the
apples
vanilla
from the farm and the vanilla extract would be kind of difficult. Like let's say 1.5 silver for that,
Sure.
and then round it up to 2 silver because we're throwing in the recipe book
That's
as
fine.
well. So 2 silver pieces out and a whole lot of gold up. You are done.
I don't
with
know
that.
how we'll possibly recover.
I don't know. That's a huge financial investment. 2 full silver coins into the pig's ear.
That's true. That's true. Dalrin will pick up a reinforced steel-capped bow staff with which to go back and smash some more skeletons when and if we decide to go back and do that, just in case.
Okay. I think a bow staff would not be something they just like have on stock.
What? There's not a bow staff shelf?
There's
I'm
not
not-
a bow staff.
I'm not
shelf
sure
in
what's the
Royal
difference
Armory.
between a bow staff and a staff, except
A
that
bow
they have
staff?
Bow
different
staff
stat
is-
lines.
It's
longer
a long
and-
speared shaft
Yeah,
with no
it's-
spear.
It is basically a long spear that just has almost mace ends
Yeah,
instead of
it's got like small cudgels put on either end.
Perfect.
and it's fairly long, and it, by merit of what it is, needs to be very balanced. I do not think that's something I'll have immediately, but that is something that can definitely be constructed for
I
you
will-
from
I will.
blacksmith.
I will commission that
And they
bow
will
staff.
absolutely do that. So that'll be ready in a couple days for whatever the market price of a bow staff is.
It's like 2 silver
It's like
pieces.
2 silver, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a stick with some iron
Caps on the end, yeah.
Yeah, Clackett just has to hammer the thing together and
Hammer the
Also-
entire stick together.
get a shaft, which is going to require a little bit of cross work. So that'll be ready for you in about, I'd say, 3-4 days.
Okay.
So,
I'll also pick up some extra dried meat so that when we go back to Citadel Altarian, I have it for our friends.
Zerk and Snuggles are going to be hungry.
Yeah.
Zerk and Snuggles need assistance.
Surely they have some way of sustaining themselves otherwise, but
But they
meh.
want our meats.
They want our meats.
So,
They're mighty dragons.
They are mighty
They
dragons.
need your meats.
They do.
My snack food has actually evolved with today's information.
Ooh.
Okay.
We went from just basic granola bars to now Fig Newton bars.
You have handmade little packed halfling Fig Newton
Yep.
nuggets that you're carrying around as your halfling snack that you shove in your face to restore a freaking hit
They're
point.
snack size.
They're snack size. I mean, it's fitting. It's fitting. So,
Rare
with
snack sized.
all of the
Exactly.
plans in mind, some of the skeletons beneath Citadel Altarian defeated, and, well, a direction between this strange tunnel and your agreement that you have with Zuri, you rest for this evening. The next day, Will Day morning, there was a lot to be done. So at this point, we are...
Before that, anybody who would be possibly injured, I would use the rest of my...
You got healing magic to top
Yeah.
everybody up. If anyone's not at full, I think everyone's fine.
I'm
No, actually,
solid.
I was a bit beat to
I
crap.
was a little bit, yeah.
I took that halberd
I didn't
smash.
not
Oh,
beat
that's
to
true.
crap, I would say.
I actually,
but-
for some reason, I thought you'd healed up after the skeleton encounter, but I guess that was being reserved in case
we-
of tons more undead.
Well, we came right out of the tunnel, and then we like, the
we
heck.
investigated a room, and then we found a tunnel. And then
You've
we
been a bit beat up as you went around town today. But we are going to switch into the third of the new second edition game modes, which is downtime mode. So at this point, there's no massive pressing concern, and we're trying to do some things that are going to take us an amount of time to get done. So in downtime mode, we're largely just going to jump forward by days. So unless there's something you guys want to go out and do, which is a big engagement, while you're, I hesitate to say renovating, but cleaning / overhauling the menu of the Pig's Ear, this is going to take some time to do. You're waiting for your bow staff to be finished. So each day, you will be able, you basically tell me what it is you are doing. And that can be obviously for you, if you want to be at the Pig's Ear actively helping, you can do that. If you, buddy, need to go back and tend to your farm, you could absolutely go do that as well. You can
I
just
was
work
also
the
gonna
farm for some
try
time.
and we had a rune that I was gonna try and fix onto Esvis's bow.
There was also the other +1 halberd that you
I
want
was
to
gonna-
move. Okay. So that is all of these things are
And
things
things
that,
you can do.
activities that are measured in a day. So you want to do that first. You know, there's a lesser potency rune on the halberd that you'd gotten from one of the skeletal commanders.
Mm-hmm.
The other halberd is with Tyrannus, but this one you want to get that rune off and onto the longbow.
No. Halberd, we already have one to put onto the bow. I thought we were also putting one onto the halberd because we had 2 halberds.
You have 2 +1 halberds.
Yeah.
One's
I
with
was going to do the
Tyrannus.
halberd. You were going to do the bow.
No, what Tyrannus is keeping his halberd.
You gave Tyrannus a +1 halberd,
Yeah.
and he still has it. As
Yeah,
far as I
we were
know.
going to put that rune onto his halberd so he could keep his
Oh, you
halberd.
want to? Oh, I see what you mean.
He
You
seemed
wanna-
to like
okay.
his halberd
You want to
better.
switch the room from the random halberd to his halberd.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you were going to put it on
And
the
you were
bow
gonna-
from the other
Oh,
one.
okay.
You were going to switch the other halberd onto the bow.
Okay.
Okay. So, with your first day off here, this is a little bit more of an investment than it might sound, because a runic sigil that you put on a weapon is not like there's not a socket and there's a rune sitting in it. And you're like, just take it out and put it in the other weapon. It is a process, and it is at that a process that is either strongly magical or alchemical. You have to do some work with some different reagents to activate the latent magic in this to transfer it, because much like talismans, it is intrinsically linked to the weapon it's attached to. It's not something you just poke in and it's good to go. So it's going to take you some investiture. Specifically, to try to move a rune from one weapon to another weapon, it's going to take about 3.5 gold in various tinctures and salves and alchemical tools. So you'll need 7 gold total if you want to move both of those runes.
Can take it off the common stack from our loot.
Okay.
And then you would be with Tyrannus' halberd, spending a day trying to use this to draw the magic out, keep it in the rune, and move that rune over to the other halberd. So go ahead and make me a craft check. I see no reason for this to be secret. You'll know immediately if
Yeah.
you fail.
That's a natural
Hey.
20 for a 26.
Oh, solid. Okay, so with a...
I've apparently done this before.
very skilled in this act, apparently. With a 26, you would be able to, given the day of work, fairly easily move the rune over. And yeah, I guess this might have been part of your upbringing with your cloistered cleric background. This is
training.
something you know. And you're actually able to do it using only 3 gold of these alchemical reagents.
Instead of 3.5.
Instead of 3.5, yes. So you can sell the excess back and retain that extra 5 silver pieces. So, Buford, you're with Esphus, trying to take the lesser potency off the other halberd.
That's pretty good. So that is a 21.
And with the 21, you too would be successful. Spending the day drawing the energy out of that. I'm sure his act is a little more of his own magic, cantrips, his own personal spellcraft, and yours is reading the instructions on these various bottles and powders and how this is supposed to be.
Mine has actual magic behind it. Yours is the process by the book.
It's also hard. I'm not really used to dealing with longbows. They're kind of finicky.
Got to make sure you don't accidentally
I don't
burn
want to
through the bow with
well,
the reagent.
I also don't want to make it like unbalanced or whatnot.
Don't want to mess up the way that the weight's distributed through the main draw there.
You get it up and it's just like all warped like
Yeah.
done.
Whoa!
Somehow it still fires perfectly fine.
It's supposed to be curved like that, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
given a day of work, you as well are able to move the lesser potency rune over from the other halberd onto Esphus's longbow.
So how much money do we have here?
That would cost you 3 points. So it's taking you 6.5 gold between the two of you and materials to move those two over. It's 10% of the cost of a rune.
Yeah, so we're down to we're down to a fair number from our selling our salvage. I understand you were looking to invest in
that-
a larger suit of armor.
You know, it'd be real nice if I didn't have to worry about my ankles all the time.
You sure you're going to be able to keep track of which bit goes where? You're going to
Have
use
I-
the same
Quite a
same
few more
system,
pieces.
the same system you're using before, or would you actually like a diagram you can keep in your pocket in case you kick something in the middle of the night?
Well, have I ever had a problem putting on armor?
Well, you've never worn armor this complicated before.
Are you questioning my ability to put on my own armor here?
I'm just noticing that your system has some glaring flaws that you use to keep track of what bit
I
goes
haven't
where.
run into
think
any problems
We
with
are
my
questioning
system.
very many things about how you tend your armor, yes.
I think he might be offering to help you get dressed in the morning.
Look,
I don't need help getting dressed in the morning.
If you needed it, I would be there for you.
Well, I mean, some of these pieces have a lot of buckles and stuff, and I've got real big hands. If you have a delicate touch, I guess.
it's your tiny elven
I have
fingers.
tiny elven hands. It's true. They're well calloused, but
Well,
So glad I'm not there for this. I would so rather
so
be.
Buford, what is it that you want?
I want me some full plate.
Buford wants to go back to Quarters and Bits and to Clackett's blacksmith and get a full suit of armor. Now, that is something that they would have on hand, largely because Clackett enjoys making a lot of armor, and while most people in Breachel, for like standard hunting purposes, take chainmail or like the absolute heaviest breastplates, he likes, like, it's almost more of a hobby to him to put these things together. Full crafted there in the forge by Clackett's own design, let's say. This little goblin has one full standing set of full plate with a full, nearly spherical helmet, because he's not entirely positive how human heads are shaped, and nobody was really around to let him test.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I'll just modify my hat a bit, and I can put it right
Well,
on
it's
top.
perfect.
The hat right on top of the helmet.
It's perfect because you have this big spherical helmet.
a
You
fishbowl.
actually have space for the cowboy hat largely inside of it.
Inside of it.
I'm gonna be like an astronaut.
Because it's much wider. It has much more room than it would. It is almost a giant steel astronaut helmet
That's
Oh,
that
perfect.
you can
my
put
God.
on here.
I
It
never
has
knew.
the-
You know,
the
it ca-
slitted
Clack-
face visor that just slides perfectly up on top of it.
I knew Clackett was looking out for me. You know, he's been playing. You know, he's been playing real hard recently, but I knew he was looking out for me.
I'm just imagining the video game version of the Two Perception show where just the hat just clipping through the helmet.
But as you go, he's looking at it, and he's looking at your hat. And, well, we can, 2 options. I can expand the helmet a little sideways so it can fit the brim of your hat. Or I could forge clips on the side of it to hold your hat on the outside.
Well, I could. You know, I have a couple different variations of this hat. I can just slide it right on top. A few modifications.
10-gallon.
But this is full plate. If you're Well, if you're out doing night things, you might want clips to keep the hat on.
That's true. If you made a little, like, ledge right there. Yeah, clips. You know, actually, that'd be great. Let me go get my bigger cowboy hat. It's normally made for, you know, dancing.
How could a hat be bigger than that hat?
Haven't you ever seen my party hat?
Apparently not, no.
Well, I guess you haven't been out at night much. I don't know if anybody's missed it.
I'm imagining a hat large enough to swallow this goblin whole.
I can forge 2.
I'm actually imagining a hat that has like a pinata thing in it where Buford just pulls it and stuff just explodes out
Buford
of it.
comes to town with his hat, and you just see the top of the hat looming over the walls as he approaches.
I can forge 2 of these overall clips onto the side of the helmet, and they can latch onto the brim of your hat to hold it on.
That would work real good. I think this will work out perfect. You're real smart, you know. I like it. Really knows how to work with things.
Are you sure you really have to wear the hat and the helmet?
Well, yeah, how else are people supposed to know it's me?
It's heraldry.
Yes, I have no response to that. So he is going.
Utterly dumbfounded, he slinks away to his forge to make clips.
He takes these 2 overall clips that he had from like the adjustable straps, and heats them up and basically forge welds them on the side of this bubble helmet. So you have this set of full plate, which is fairly large because he didn't make it to commission, he didn't make it to order, so he made it to make it. Wasn't not even positive it would ever actually sell. So it's a fairly like imposing full plate. It's pretty bulky and large, and he spends some of that afternoon shorting down the breastplate somewhat because how tall is Buford?
He's big. He's a big guy. He's like 6'4".
Never mind. I guess you're actually fine. It's a good thing that he has this set of giant person full plate because Buford's a freaking giant person.
He's big. He's a big guy.
Forge welds some little hat clips on the sides of this almost perfectly spherical bubble helmet. So he forge welds them onto the pivots, the axis of the visor where it connects. So they're actually just attached to that directly. So if you slide up the face visor, your hat goes
Yes.
on the back of your head.
Ma'am?
You can tip the visor. It tips your head on the top of your head.
There's so much good in this world.
But for 30 gold pieces, a set of full plates can be yours.
You got it, or you want me to? I'll take it off the comment.
Yeah, I don't
Could you
have
imagine
anybody.
if she said no right now? Just like, nah, never mind, I don't really want it.
I think Espas had some of our common stuff too, or did he just have that in his pocket?
It wasn't clear if he told us he had picked it up yet, so I didn't write
The
it down.
15 gold from the Horde, I'm pretty sure he just picked up.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
he just
okay.
put that.
I don't
in his pocket.
100% know that everyone knows that he has that.
No, I don't think we do, so I'm
And
gonna
he's not
assume.
here for us to ask him.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, Dalren,
Now that thing is has
Dalren,
happened.
what are you doing with this fine wheel day? Are you heading down to help Resme with the Pig's Ear?
I guess I'd better. It's probably gonna be the first time Resme see me without a bunch of armor on, and so he's just wearing street clothes, and he's
You're
just
no
going
longer
down
hiding.
there. Huh?
You're no longer hiding.
I'm no longer hiding in my hide armor. Yes. Yes. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I am.
Give me your session. How do I ban my players?
You locked the front door.
So you pull up and I just lock the door,
And just glare at him.
glare through the window.
That you can both see through because you're both like super tall.
Yep.
All right, so Resme and Dalren are both going to spend the majority of the day at the Pig's Ear, which Zuri has agreed to keep closed so that you can clean it at no cost to her, which is something an agreement she is okay with for now.
Buckets of lie.
So, what are you focusing on? What are you doing here, Dalren?
So I need to go. If Resme doesn't need my help with actually
Okay,
degreasing,
Mom, don't listen to Mom. Tell me what you're doing.
yeah, doesn't need my help with degreasing the entire building. I'm actually going to look for a spot where I can try to put some kind of kitchen in. Because it doesn't have to be a lot. It just basically needs to be a place we can have a fire, a pot of grease on the fire, and then we dump pig's ears into the grease. That's basically I'm starting as simply as I possibly can.
Grill would be good.
If I
So-
Oh my god, they
recall
actually have a map.
correctly.
Oh, is this the actual inn?
This sure is.
Awesome, because I was going to ask if we had a map.
Give me one moment here so I can make it visible. I can give you guys some. Oh, you guys have actually got some good sight. I just have you outside, but you've got some good sight in here. This is actually the PIG'S EAR. Like I said, it is relatively large. It's not super tiny. It's a decent sized thing. I'm gonna rotate this here Arcane Forge because it's kind of oriented this way.
Did you want to?
Make it a little bit easier. Hold on, what?
Port it onto the...
Yeah, I'm getting it set real quick so
Okay.
that I can show it to you. Because it's taking me a second, because I haven't opened it before. There we go.
Okay.
So it is actually it's a fairly large building, honestly. It's not super tiny. It's got a decent amount of space to it. And let me just yeet this buddy around here for revealing reasons, because she definitely just gave you access to everything, so I'll just reveal the entire freaking place.
Right, so they do have a kitchen.
They have a space, that's the storeroom. That's it looks like it has a bunch of pots and various stuffs and whatnot where you could potentially install some, but it doesn't actually have them at the moment. It's just got a tiny little extra storage cellar back up behind the counter up here, and this is where you had come up.
Came up here.
Down here in the eastern side in this back wing. And this area at the moment is just storage. It doesn't actually have any of those like cooking pots or anything there.
Does
But
it
just to give you
have-
a general indication of the layout of the area and like its size, it looked like.
It is actually pretty
It is
sizable.
like I said, it's pretty large.
Is there a second story?
There is not, no.
So
This is a lot to work with.
And this area off to the
Yeah, like I
side
said, it's
here,
not small. The PIG'S EAR is a pretty
That's
big
all
tavern.
storage. That's
This is
full
all
of-
storage.
That's full
That's
of pickled
all.
everything.
That's where you came up. Yep, that's just the fairly narrow little.
That's
uh,
a fireplace
They
right
have
there, which means there's probably a flue by there that we could
they
put a
do
stove
have a hearth.
into.
They do have a hearth on the side room.
Okay, I think this is the place. It's not behind the bar, so the bar is going to be different from the kitchen. That's going to be difficult, but you know what? That's going to be something that Zuri's going to have to worry about after we're done with this. So,
Not your department.
not my problem nor
Well,
department.
It shouldn't be that big of a deal because people come to the bar for their drinks. People who want to get food and whatnot sit at the tables and have a
While they're
waitress come
talking,
out.
I'm going
Yeah,
to turn
but-
on.
And then go back to the kitchen.
Zuri doesn't have the staff for that, so she's going to have to
Ancestral
hire somebody if she
memories.
wants to keep this
Yeah,
going.
and
And
hiring
my
one person
brother's
for
going to
that kind of
show up
upgrade.
with his knowledge architecture.
Zuri seems real, real
Okay.
coin shy.
And
think back
he
here.
is going to try to figure out how to do this so that it's structurally sound and it will work.
So do what exactly? Install a stove?
Yeah, install a stove.
I mean, you got
in the
this
correct
storage area in the back. It's really a fairly large area. They're just cramming with kegs and sacks of food and these jars of pickled goods. But it is a large area.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead and roll me a knowledge architecture.
Oh wow, that is a
I like that. Arcane Forge is like an
27.
on-the-fly manipulate things. 27, yeah, I would say you would be able to very easily tell because they like Nick said, because they've got this hearth here with some chairs set up around. They already have a chimney and they already have access there. It would be no trouble to install stoves on the other side of it. Like where they were on the map is probably the most logical place to put them.
Right.
That makes the most sense. They just don't have any right now.
So Jason will actually start giving you instructions in his male voice. He'll actually kind of draw out a set of plans to show you what it should look like that are fairly detailed, and also draw in some different ways to reorganize the space so that we're using it more efficiently.
Huh. Fair enough. We can see if, as cheaply as we can possibly make some of this. The stove. What if Clackett could make us a stove?
But what are you looking for? Are you looking for like a big...
So I
All
understand.
you really need is a fire pit and a pot. I mean, you don't gotta get super fancy or a slab.
Well,
like,
you got to be a little safer than that if you're frying stuff.
I
I guess that
mean,
depends on what you're after.
yeah. I mean, basically, I would like. So, I understand when the Franklin stove was invented in real world, but I basically would want A plate that gets hot that I can put a pot on and stand at and cook.
Okay. So you probably would want some amount of mason work installed into the building itself.
I mean, that would be great if we could do it, and if we can't, then, I mean, we can just do a pot over a fire that's bubbling that we have to, like, with a long-handled basket to fish things out of. That's probably actually what they do now that I think about it.
That's probably the more common setup, yes.
Let's do that.
We have access to someone with engineering and architect knowledge. Perhaps we could ask them for their advice.
Well,
But what are you doing today is the question. With your,
So today is mostly going to be spent on getting this place clean, because that is something we cannot have the customers around for.
you do have 2 days where the PIG'S EAR is vacated for now.
I also see that there's a space off to the side that seems to be like almost like its own separate little room.
wait, there's 2 trapdoors?
There is a very, very small cellar up here, which
Okay.
is just like a little storage area.
So this is the one we came out of down
this
here
one,
on the
this
bottom.
one down here on the bottom, not the one behind the bar. The one,
Okay.
the separate storage room is the one that you came out of.
It's like a little root cellar or something.
Yeah,
they've got
that's
up
just
there.
like a tiny little extra root cellar for stuff they actively need behind the bar.
Okay.
It doesn't. It's really
Like
just
water.
like a storage space. It's not even something you can go down into, really.
I'm actually going to try to set up sort of like a curtain bar across that area to see if we can encourage the riffraff to game in there where they can't really disturb the rest of the people who are actually trying to have a nice time in the other room.
So you have in this space next to the bar.
Yeah.
Because you've already got this largely divided into 2 separate areas: the entryway with the tables scattered around, and then the much smaller, more scattered tables near the hearth and the side room. And,
Yeah.
and both of those do have an entrance on the outside. The bar, of course, being in the main one.
Exactly.
So you just want to curtain off and like, gamblers, get out. All right, and that's definitely not something that would take an entire day. But you're cleaning up and you're trying to set up some more divisions and whatnot. Dalren, what about you?
So I'll be helping her as needed, and with planning out how we can set the kitchen up in here. Step 1 is going to be to do that and see what kind of work is done. If I can do it, great.
Okay, so you're day 1 is planning.
Well, day 1 is planning and working if I can. I'm actually, Dalren is pretty handy. Can he go and install this pit in the floor with which to put a pot on?
Absolutely. So with your day of downtime, you're gonna need a pot.
I think we can
And
procure
you're gonna need
that.
a curtain.
I
You're
think
gonna
those
need
are
some,
procurable.
Assorted supplies. So I'm gonna say we're gonna base cost like 1 gold for
Sure.
some of the supplies you guys want to bring in,
Sure.
and
That's
then while you're working throughout the day, the more you can do yourselves, the less you're gonna have to spend.
Right.
So you're doing a lot of this heavier work. So I mean, you could roll athletics. You could. If you
I'll do
roll-
athletics if I can. I thought you were going to make me roll crafting, but I can do
I mean,
athletics.
crafting. It's not particularly precise or difficult.
I'll take athletics.
Athletics, because it's just a lot of hard, straightforward, mundane work.
Yep.
I will give you athletics.
Let's do it. Dalren's worried. That's a fine use of my session reroll.
Is it?
It
4 on the
is.
die
That's a
there.
4 on the
I
die.
used mine on a bad joke. It was worth it.
I'm gonna actually.
Wait, hold on. The purple die. Remember, trust in the purple die.
I don't know. You think?
Yeah.
Special
Can you
rerolls
really
riding on
use
this.
someo's die when they're not here, though? Is that
That's
like legal?
true. I feel like I'm actually like cheating.
I feel like that's cheating. I feel like I feel like that's
Yeah.
bad
Hang
karma
on,
there.
I've got others. I'll try this one.
And we'll see if the die thinks it's cheating or not, because it'll tell you.
That's slightly
It's better.
better.
It's much better.
That's gonna be 19.
All right, so with a 19 and a session reroll that I will collect from you, thank you, you are going to be successful. And with the amount of effort you're able to put into this, and just the fact that Dalren never really seems to tire here, let's say reduce the cost of this gold worth of installation by 5 silver. So have it almost. Resume, you have prestidigitation to help you out with a lot of this cleaning and preparation and whatnot. So I will let you roll Arcana before your work. Although it is also quite tiring, it's much easier to get a lot done in shorter periods of time because you have to do less because magic.
And I'll turn into the cat if I'm gonna mouse.
Oh, and again, just cat after people.
Yeah.
Do you have prestidigitation from your sorcerer bloodline or from your druid
It's
side?
from my druid side.
Okay, give me a nature then. Since that's the tradition. Check that tradition.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Because it's the cat definitely is from the druid side, I'm sure.
No, it's not actually.
No.
Really?
Pest form. Actually, druids do not
How
get
is
pest
the pest form thing the sorcerer side and prestidigitation is the nature?
I'm gonna tell you why. So once you get wild form at the next level, you actually automatically get pest form as part of that form.
But sorcerer,
sorcerer-
arcane has pest form as a spell in it.
Well, arcane or nature then, dealer's choice, because you're kind of doing both.
That's gonna be a 15.
So with a 15, you definitely put some work in, but although you have the abilities of the cat, you do not have like the instinct and the knowledge of the cat necessarily, and it's
Cat lore.
it's effective, but it's not wildly effective. So I'd say you take about 8 copper off the price. So at the end of the day, you need about 4 silver, 2 copper of investment to start getting this cleaned up, get the curtain, try to get an area for a cooking pot in there in the back.
Okay,
I'll let you spend the copper.
that's fine.
And that's an effective day. So that at the end of that day, runes have been moved. The pickled pig's ear rather is starting to come. The pickled pig's ear, the pickled pig ear pig, is a
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled pig ears.
It's coming along. Next day comes around. Oath Day being the last day that Zuri is closing down the pig's ear. So Resme and Dalran, I assume you're both going to be working there. Buddy, Rurb, what are you two going to do with this day?
I'd probably also go out and help since
Go
I
help?
didn't. I need to shoulder
The
my weight a
busybody
bit.
work's done. I'm gonna
Well,
set
busybody
out.
work is in progress. Oh, you're busybody work.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
So now I'm gonna go help out with the big task.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is
If you have prestidigitation, this will go twice as fast.
I do have access to prejudice, but what I was thinking was set out poison traps for the rats. Make some poison with a medicine check.
Making poison definitely be a crafting check, but
Or we
Worth a
just
shot.
Go buy some.
you shoot your shot. So you want to help out with crafting. Still trying to deal with this vermin problem. You want to.
So I'm going to spend a lot of this day working on my recipes. As I said, my family does own a distillery. I know lots of recipes for cider and things like that. I'm going to try to use these ingredients to start creating a drink.
Okay. So it sounds like it's also crafting. Unless you have like lore making drinks.
Lore mixology.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's a new day, so I guess I can have lore mixology.
I mean, if you give Dalrin
Can
a
you
heads
have
up,
it all day?
No, you can't.
No, I cannot.
But I can, if you let me know about it.
Yes, that would be great.
Because you see, Dalrin in his wide and worldly travels over the past 100 years may have picked up a few different drink mixes.
So I have the
Okay.
recipe, he has the skill.
All right, Dalren, so you're helping with this as well.
Sure.
Okay, and Buford.
I'm just gonna be doing like mundane kind of work, moving the table
Clean up
around,
regular
cleaning it
style,
up,
reorganizing
all the jars over there, like all the picking up all the kegs, removing them, sweeping out all the behind them,
Okay.
regular stuff.
So let's get a crafting check from Rur.
That's a 25, 19 on the die.
And Resume.
That's a natural 20.
Wow, this is gonna be
Hey.
the best restaurant
Dalren with
ever.
lore, specifically the thing I need right now.
More specifically, the thing I need right now.
Ooh,
Nat
another
20,
Nat 20.
27.
Cider ever!
Do we need a double net 20? Double net 20s to try to make
A signature
a
drink.
new drinks for the pig's ear.
This is gonna be. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever.
Turns out figs and apples actually make a really good drink.
With
Who would have
Buford?
thunk it?
Buford, what do you got
23
on crafter?
on athletics.
Moving tables.
moving tables,
Doing
cleaning.
mundane.
Tables around?
Yeah, mundane tasks.
Yeah, I'll let you just kind of help out with effort there. Holy crap. Okay,
Helping
so
where needed throughout the day.
Yeah, I'll just like
Today-
if I need something lifted.
today is a wildly productive day.
I worked as a bartender once.
Some would say inconceivably productive. Like, This does not make any sense.
You made this,
How
like, the
effective
pickled
this is.
ears make a fantastic drink.
Somehow.
It's just a dirty martini, but with pig instead of olive.
Some.
No, it's warm. It's warmed fig and apple cider with
Well, no, because
vanilla
we
and
have-
cloves.
We have the pickled ears, so if we made a crazy drink with that, like, we'd already have the resources.
No, then we're gonna take a little bit of fried pig and put it on the rim for salt.
Oh my
Ooh.
god. That's disgusting.
No, it's glorious. Right there.
Glorious.
Although,
So that happened.
and it's amazing for some
Apparently-
reason.
And apparently,
it's amazing.
it's It's working out. You guys spend the day finishing up, cleaning up. At the end of this, after the ridiculous amount of nat 20s and 19s coming out, every check well over a 20, 2 critical successes from the natural 20s. Yeah, you have. It doesn't even look like the same building anymore. And this is just the 4 of you working on this. I mean, Esvis is largely tapped out of this and is just staying home
He's like,
waiting
he's
for
got
something
things to
important.
do.
to
He's
happen.
like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Ain't
of.
nobody got time for
Aranis
that.
wants nothing to do with this. So, just the 4 of you. It literally looks like it's a different building. You walk inside, it's clean, it's well kept. They have the cooking equipment into the back with some of your own investment of just a few silver pieces. Honestly, a lot of work, just picking up and finding what you could, and
Are you
reaching
able
out to.
edit the map at all?
Nah, don't worry about it.
But
I was
that's,
just curious.
that's hard on tiny
for
monitor.
later.
I can, but it's very difficult on little tiny monitors, so I'm gonna leave it how it is with it. I mean, the map itself has not massively changed. It still largely looks like this, just with the cooking stuff.
So now we
in the
got
back there.
No, I have a question for like after stream later.
Okay.
we got the fried pig, the fried fig. We got fried ears, which are ears of corn that we've actually turned into popcorn and mixed with salt,
Or fried and covered in
or
cheese.
fried and covered in cheese. And we have pig's tears, which we're calling the new cider.
Wow,
Creative.
that was a lot of thought. Has actually, I mean, it has been 2 full days, I suppose.
And you were poo-pooing us for writing during class.
Clearly, mistakenly. All right, so you have a lot to present to Miss Starflower when she returns, and
Along with a new dress that she's going to be wearing from now on because she can't look like she's been looking. It's time for personal makeover.
Not satisfied with making over her business.
But we're not quite done there
of course you're not.
because each day, both yesterday and today, I would have prepared and cast 4 uses of enhanced victures on their flasks of, what's it, just ale?
Yes,
Yeah.
Is that a thing you can do?
Yes.
What does that do?
Purifies it, makes it stronger.
You cast top shelf here
Yup.
on every keg they have in their storage. Wow. Cleric of Sarenrae, by the way, but I mean, yeah, there's nothing anti-Sarenrae about that. You're like, I am going to channel the divine magic of the goddess of truth to make this beer some legit business right here. You're gonna be seeing the sun when we open up the She is the goddess of the sun, also fire. Now I'm really just picturing frat boy Sarenrae cleric.
Dude.
He's got like Birkenstock sandals, a frayed backward cap, Abercrombie and Finch
I have
gear.
a very different picture of her these days, I must say.
I'm helping my friends. This is their pet project. I'm helping them.
Monday through Friday Sarenrae, weekend Sarenrae.
We're gonna call this the spirits.
So meanwhile in the back, Roar is casting more better on your kegs of ale and just enhancing everything to be stronger. What is that spell called?
Enhanced victure.
Victures.
Okay.
It's awesome. I thought about that actually.
I
but I don't have
obviously
it.
have to consult this. Enhance Victures.
It's awesome.
Tiny screen.
Come to me.
Give me your secrets.
No.
How do you spell Victures?
Victures.
That's what I thought. I don't see it.
Make it
Is
a
it
little
CRB?
bigger. Yeah.
Hand me the core rule book. I just have to. I have to. I can believe
We're
you.
in downtime, so.
I'm required to look at this make alcohol better spell. This is insane.
Well, it does more than just make it better. It purifies stuff, makes it safe to drink, makes food safe to eat. Like it has
Enhanced
practical
victuals.
It has. Yes, I am.
You
a creepy.
pronounced that right.
So, it does affect up to 1.
That's why I used all my castings of it on the.
So you can't cast this on the ale. This can only be used on water.
On water. Oh, fantastic!
And
That's
it
what they're
lasts-
serving outside in the bar.
It lasts for 1 hour.
Oh, I thought it was just an enhancement.
I was like, there is no way there is a 2nd level spell that is your bar is better than everyone else's in town. Not that I don't believe you, but after a journey in War for the Crown, I have come to assume that you read 1/2 of every spell you cast. And I am glad we checked this one.
I only remember that from last week.
Yeah, it only lasts an hour, but
You
you
can
could,
use it on the night of the tournament.
Yeah, I can absolutely use it that night.
the duration is quite short, though. Yeah, so I mean, you could use it for the time being. It changes a gallon per casting. So however many castings of 2nd level spells you could have, you could make that many gallons of a fine wine or something for 1 hour before it will just return to being water. You tell me this all. I'm positive this has more limitations than you're telling me. There's no way this is what it is.
Okay, so she needs a makeover.
Well, she's not gonna be here until tomorrow because she has largely just left.
I know,
the
but
shop
I'm
and,
grabbing some stuff from my house to give her a makeover. Because this is going to take a minute.
Darren's not doing anything with this.
All right, fair enough.
I will let Resme handle that.
I'll leave this one to your business. Okay. So when Azote comes to a close and you have largely overhauled the inside,
Menu,
that brings us
everything.
to Fire Day. Moving towards the weekend now. What are your plans? Are we still progressing downtime here?
Yeah, because we need to go talk to the head councilman to see if we can convince him to sponsor a tournament for us.
Okay. What about the rest of you? Are you all going on this venture? This is where we're journeying?
No. Well, I guess yes, we'll all be going on that, but I have a thing I want to do with my day.
What do you want?
Diplomacy checks to go around the city, advertising the improvements that have been made and the new menu that's going to be
Alright,
available.
so you want to be a barker, basically, is
Yep.
your downtime for today. All right, so you'll spend the day trying to promote and advertise this.
Do you need me to turn you into a dog?
That would work.
You
I
for
don't think you.
Dalren.
What are you gonna be doing, Darren? Anything I can help out with?
Well, I suppose spreading the word for the tournament would be important, although perhaps we should actually organize this. So for this day, actually, Dalren is going to refocus his elven memories to, I guess, what, lore gaming? I mean, what would this be to go organize
There
a
actually
tournament?
is a lore
There's
gaming.
definitely a lore game.
I'm gonna
positive it's a thing that
Take
exists.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Dalren had a misspent youth.
Lore gaming.
Yeah.
Got him.
Back in my 40s, I went and was a card shark for a living.
You're essentially Jimmy the Shoeshine Boy.
I really
Open
am.
racials.
I'm totally Jimmy the Shoeshine Boy.
Open racials are a wild ride.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
And so
What is this ability that just gives you lore of whatever you need at this particular moment?
So it's not at this particular moment. It's per day,
Okay.
and it's called Ancestral Paragon is what it gives me. Ancestral Longevity
This is the world's best downtime.
it
ability.
is really is. You
Like,
have to be
lore
100
whatever
years
I need
old.
this day.
You have to be 100 years old.
You have to be 100 years old,
Okay.
and it's an elven thing, and you basically you've lived so many years that over the course of your life you've done everything to the point of being trained at it. You just don't remember it all.
So you spend the day.
And so you spend
Thinking.
your daily preparations thinking about it and remembering and meditating, and you remember one skill, you become trained in it for that whole day.
I love second edition.
It's
Second
amazing.
edition is my favorite thing.
This is like the best treatment of elves I've ever seen in a role-playing game. It's like, of course elves should be able to do this. It makes perfect sense.
I'm 100. You think I can't card shark? Come on. It's an actual masterpiece. All right.
It gets better as you level up and put more feats into it.
Okay. So, we're as you're going around town, I can't see any check for this other than diplomacy, really, to try to rustle up attention for the PIG'S EAR here. So give me a diplomacy check.
Well, that's a fail. That's a 13. So halfling luck. That's a skill check. I get to re-roll that.
Once per day. You guys are tailor-made to be downtime legends.
We are
That's
actually.
it. Hey.
Gosh.
17
Solid.
for 25.
So again, Breach Hill's not particularly big, and you've been here for some time, just kind of interacting with the town and learning and really researching, trying to learn about Breach Hill is a large part of what you've done. On top of that, proselytizing is what the church taught you to do.
Yep.
Hey.
You have all the necessary skills here to try to drum up some interest in the new and renovated PIG'S EAR. And while Miss Ziri Starflower returns to her business, Resme is going to head back in, and I assume you'll be there pretty much right when it opens.
Yep.
So as she shows up, and she has entrusted you, for the amount of respect she has for her own business, with a key to do your stuff for this last couple days. And she shows up early in the morning. It's 10 a.m., barely awake,
I've made her breakfast with the
trudging
new
towards
menu.
the door. And she opens it. And just sort of looks around at it. What in the name of God's sake? What? And this time you show up with a tray with some fried, assorted breakfast on it. And she looks
And some
down.
warm cider.
I'm
Breakfast?
still more hungover than I thought I was.
Nope. We're just that good.
What did you do? What the shell and nonsense is this?
Magic.
And so she walks up to her newly cleaned bar and just touches it. You don't feel like magic.
Yeah, the wood's just been cleaned and polished. I took the liberty of putting a little bit of a lacquer on it so that it doesn't get as dirty.
Smell. Did you put a kitchen in our back room?
Mm-hmm. And I came up with some recipes that are signature to your establishment so that they won't be able to get them anywhere else. They're super simple and not expensive to make.
And she turns and just looks at you. Who sent you here? What? What is this?
Look at me. Fate has sent me to you.
What is this? I
Now,
don't know what.
it is the last step of our transformation. You are about to become the best you have ever been.
Carindel put you up to this. Is this
Nope.
a joke?
I'm a druid envoy. I am doing this for the good of the
I
town.
thought druids lived in the woods, rolling around on their own. You know.
Yeah, not really. That's more of a Breach Hill thing.
Just like dazed almost, looking around her tavern.
Would you like to taste the food in the cider?
What's a cider?
It's a drink that tastes really good. It has alcohol in it, but it's also
And she
really
has that-
tasty.
She takes a sip of it. Probably makes a face. What's this? Tastes like apple juice with extra steps.
It has alcohol in it, and people like it.
Takes another sip of it. Alright. So, you think just cleaning this place up and putting apples in the ale is going to be enough to get more people in here? And at this point, as it's opening, a couple of the early regulars have come in and basically just like stopped in the doorway, looked down, like entered really slowly. Some of them have turned and walked away. Some of them have had some hushed conversations in the door frame. What happened? Before coming in and sort of settling.
Would you like some breakfast?
They all look equally confused. And so you spend your day acclimating Zuri and some of her clientele to this new look here, and ushering various gamblers and
into the
dealers and
gambling
whatnot
space.
into the separate place over closer to the kitchens, away from the main entryway.
It's actually warmer over there.
It's near the hearth and near the kitchen, so yeah, it probably is. And it is still midwinter. This is pretty cold outside. They're gonna appreciate that, to be sure. So I don't even know what to have you roll for this early.
Diplomacy?
What is it you want to do here?
So
This is Zuri's token. I don't have another Zuri token.
okay. So
Just give her a mustache.
nope. So I have made a really simple shampoo that has some lemon juice, some
Where
other
did you get lemon juice?
From
The general store.
from the general store.
I mean, they may have a little, I suppose, but there's not much as citrus that really comes to
But
each other. There's no trade.
I also
so.
have some because that's what I used to clean my hair. Because back in the day, that's what they used to clean their hair.
Do you think anyone at Breachhill knows what shampoo is?
Nope. But we're gonna teach them.
Okay.
I'm going to, make sure she has a nice bath.
Where? Are you taking it to your house?
Yeah.
Leaving the restaurant?
No, this is like
I mean,
later. But
She's got Dolphin. She has other people there that run it. It's not just her. She's usually got 3 people in the morning and then 4 or 5
it'll
in
only
the evening.
take me a couple hours, and I'm gonna do it in the early morning when it's slow. But this needs to happen.
At least Dolphin in charge of this. You have this massive hulking dude with the slightly different cut-off shirt that seems to be all he owns, with this massive, like, white mustache and beard sitting behind the counter.
We'll fix that in a minute.
And you take Zuri. You take her to your house
Yep.
to bathe her.
Yep.
Okay.
Do her makeup because we're gonna make her look really nice. We're gonna put her in one of my dresses,
Okay.
and I'm going to give her kind of diplomacy and hospitality 101. How you greet a customer.
What do you want?
No. Hi. Welcome to the PIG'S EAR. What can I get for
I
you?
know they're in the PIG'S EAR. That's why they came in the door.
Yes, but this is called branding and advertising. You want them to talk about this around town and say how nice it was there so that other people will come and want to be here. Because that equals money.
Well, they just come in because they want a drink. That's what the taverns are for.
No. You have to realign your thinking here. It's not about just the drink. It's about what people think they're getting.
A drink. I'm confused.
I know.
Start over.
Okay.
So you... Yeah, diplomacy sounds good. Maybe a diplomacy check to try and get it through for this, the world's simplest woman who inherited her tavern here.
That's gonna be a 20.
Okay, and with the 20, it would certainly be enough to put some of this through to her. She's... I mean, it's not that she's not trying necessarily, but she has so many questions like, why would I break up the fights? That's what they want to do, and what's wrong with all the flay leaf that have difficult answers that take some time to get explained, because she just not even on that wavelength.
It's okay,
she
we're gonna
got
get
this
her there.
From her parents, and they ran it much the same way. It's a place where you come, you drink liquid that makes you drunk, and you do whatever, and nobody asks any questions. This isn't Wizard's Grace or Cadence Keg, and that's why people that come here, but that's a fairly small group of people in Breachhill, and that runs off anyone else who wants to show in. So...
And that's why we've created this separate space where they can go and still do their thing.
just fight to the death over there. It's all right. How's
So-
your fire day?
This is genius.
So my fire day is so I'm going to just design a robust, simple card tournament that this would be not something like fancy like out of an Avalon gaming house or anything like that, because they've got it's way too complicated. We have to keep things super simple. We're gonna have a big old chalkboard that we can write who's winning and who's winning things.
So
We're
you
gonna have
doing like an elimination tournament? Are you tracking this by total winnings over the day? Like, what's your...
So Nick has now very little idea about how actual poker tournaments work.
Which-
I think you wash out over the course
I
of the
was
day
sort
as you
of
run out of
hoping you
money.
knew more than I did.
I do.
Okay.
We
If
could
you'd
probably
like.
tell you a little bit about this.
So,
World Series of Poker stuff, basically.
well,
Pretty much.
if you want to like make it kind of medieval, they probably play something closer to whist or something like that.
They do
And-
not play whist here.
not whist, but they would maybe something like pinochle, something where it's essentially a game of chance and bluffing, and bluffing is cool because it introduces that.
That sounds like poker.
It is sort of like poker, but it isn't.
It's just fantasy poker. Roll with it.
So essentially,
Real poker's too modern.
so everyone starts off with the same amount. There's something called
I want to assume you understand the details of what you're putting
I
together
do.
here. All right, so
So basically,
give me your lore card
Gaming.
sharking or whatever it is that you have. Lore card tournaments.
hey, that's gonna be plus generic +7 for any lore I happen to have. 22.
Buford, what are you doing?
So I was gonna head down to. I know some pretty big guys. Kai's a lot like the guy that's currently running the tavern.
Yeah, like Dolphin?
Yeah, like Ulfrin. Probably that I'd either met out at the lumberyard or that are just farmers that are big, like good guys that are just kind of laid back, and maybe ask them if they wanted a free meal on the evening of the tournament and some entertainment if they'd come over and just kind of stand around and keep everybody in line. Make
Be
sure
large and
doesn't get-
menacing.
Be large.
Bouncers. It's a good idea.
So you got
And
some
just-
bouncers. So Chad has a very important question. Does anyone remember what the end goal is here? Out of curiosity, or have we been wrapped up in
No.
Pimp My Tavern?
Well, I
end-
think we've got 10% in this tavern, and that's the end goal here.
The end goal is to get this done as quickly and
so we can get our information
Yeah.
from her.
No,
We're trying to get it done quick and
10%.
effective.
10% of the takings as well.
We will also own a small part of the company after this is done, but that's a side issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna have the majority stockholder in the Breach of Pigs here. Like,
A small loan of 100 gold.
woo! Alrighty.
Best limited partners. ever.
So that sounds like it's also pretty diplomacy to
I was
me.
thinking, like, a good, like, I'm looking for people that are strong, people that I would know from farming, and maybe I'd go out and make sure they were strong enough by an athletics check.
So what you're gonna do?
If I beat you at wrestling, you gotta come help bounce with the pig's ear for me.
That's the one. If they're not strong enough, you ain't gonna come.
Give me diplomacy.
Does Bryn Bryn failed her diplomacy check?
Well, it's okay. It's okay. 16.
Okay, yeah, that's still fine.
We haven't failed a skill check yet, have we?
Don't
the-
you
Don't
dare!
even.
Shut
Too
up.
late. I already
Yeah.
did. It's too
We're
late.
doing downtime things. Be quiet.
We started this session on the heels of a necromancer who was doing something underneath Citadel Altarian, and it escaped Calmont after summons with Alcetta's ring, and we spent the whole day pimping Zuri Starflowers Rundown
But we
Tavern.
needed
Have-
to.
have
It's
I-
important.
did you actually tell me Calmont has escaped? I don't
No,
think I've
we
heard
He
of
is
it.
don't
the
know.
only one who knows that.
Yeah, no, you never
No.
told
I
us.
shared that.
He has shared. Okay.
Oh,
so-
okay. I'm slightly more concerned.
Yeah, I would be concerned.
But we need to find out what she knows before we can find out what's going on. And in order to do that, we have to finish this. It's a small investment of a couple of days. We help out a business.
So when are
we-
you holding this tournament? Like this weekend?
Yeah.
Perhaps? So like.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so everything's set up, everything's in place.
Yeah, probably Star Day. That's
Yeah, as the weekend rolls around to Star Day.
We still have to go talk to those people, though.
I've been telling everybody, hey, look,
To what people?
be there tomorrow.
Burton.
No, we worked around that. We just made. plans.
okay.
We just made checks.
Circumvented that.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, as the weekend rolls around, a Star Day comes. Zuri,
Looks
all
gorgeous.
dolled up in a dress, very uncomfortable, behind the bar. Her makeup would make it about an hour or two before being smeared from her just rubbing her eyes and her face and just kind of pushing it
Yeah,
all
it's the
over her
thought that
place.
counts.
Also, her refusal to not drink while she's tending bar does not help with that. But you've done a lot of work here. And as you all gather whatever it is you need for that evening's event, and you come around to the Pig's Ear that Star Day afternoon, Tyrannus is seated
Oh my
at
god,
the
he's
bar.
still here.
Tyrannus did not leave Breachill, no. Tyrannus is still here. Just seated up at the bar. And it's the first time you've ever seen him without his armor on. And he just has a fairly simple tunic, but one that would be much, honestly, too light, given the temperature outside, just because it's what he's brought in from Varesia, where it's much more temperate down there. It's a little warmer.
He looks so dreamy when he sits like that.
And he turns and sees the group of you enter and just raises a mug towards you. Here's a group of you are to thank for, well, obviously, whatever you did here.
Magic.
Elbow grease.
I'm more inclined to believe magic, given this. I was with you when we came into this place. It's been 1 week.
What can
Okay,
I say?
mostly magic then.
Look, when you have a talent, you need to use it.
You might say that we've made a silken purse out of a sow's ear.
Oh, wow. That was amazing. I'm so proud of you.
He takes a drink. In any case, whatever your methods, as long as this Zeri tells us what she knows, I have a bit of a vested interest in the necromancer messing with the wards instead of the Voltarian.
I
As
can
do
understand why.
I've little time left on leave before I must arrange my way back, and truth be told, perhaps I should have left already. But I want to see this through.
I'm sure the traditional punctuality of the Hell Knights will serve you well and get you back on time.
And beyond that, I heard there was a card tournament.
Indeed.
Do you play, Sir Knight?
Watch. And Tyrannus absolutely signs up for this tournament you're putting on here.
As far as I'm aware, I can also sign up.
I mean, I don't think Sarenrae has anything against gambling.
Yeah, no, like,
you
I'm
definitely lose
not
your powers for cheating, but like,
Yeah.
I don't think she has anything against gambling.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just a game.
it's not like it's not like it's not good or even not lawful. It's not illegal or anything. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to join in, you totally can.
And Resme will mostly be watching to making sure that everything is going smooth with the people we hired in temporarily to bring around the drinks and the food. And she'll also be watching for cheating.
Yeah.
Keep
That's
it a
part of the
vigilant
reason
eye
that
out.
I'm participating.
Everyone's got to be around to make sure no one's trying to cheat here.
Yeah.
Given
My skill of the day will actually be thievery,
Yeah.
so I can
we can
keep aware.
out-cheat them.
Weather eye out. Well, I'm not playing. I'm running the game. I'm running the tournament.
And
but-
Resme, with her delightful upbringing, does have 4 older brothers, so you can best believe that she knows how to cheat at cards.
So as the evening of this event comes, and a fairly impressive amount of people gather together in the PIG'S EAR here, you've done a good job of marketing it. You've done a fantastic job of making it over. Just out of, raw curiosity's sake, who wants to participate in the card tournament?
I'm going to be the inside man that makes sure nobody cheats.
Okay. So this is what we're going to do. I
bird.
am going to roll 2d20 to just get a general average of how many people there are, or where everyone's skill level is at as far as just the usual clientele. They're really bad. They're super duper bad at this.
Normally it's dark and smoky and,
And
like,
I mean, most of
everyone's drinking.
drinking and cheating, probably.
Yeah.
And with all of this in here, it's also you have drawn in a whole lot of new people who are joining this for the sport of it, who don't necessarily have any actual real skill at cards here. So everyone who wants to participate, go ahead and just roll me a flat check. And if you beat the average skill of the round here, then you can stay and you can continue doing well. Otherwise, maybe worth possibly dropping out. So, Tyrannus is not all talk, and he sets up pretty strong, largely just sweeping the pockets of everyone unfortunate enough to be sat at the table with him.
So I got an 8.
You got an 8.
Does that beat it?
Now, it is you're a collection cleric, so I mean, yeah, you have no idea how to play cards.
Well,
but you have halfling luck too.
Yeah, turns
And
out
it
the
turns out
cards
that's
they're in my
equally
favor.
valuable here. So at the moment, no, I mean the 8 is the 8 is
Oh,
fine. Like
okay.
you're actually still all right.
and they're really bad.
And they're not good. Yeah, you've got a bunch of people just laughing, enjoying the drinks and the meals, and having a good
The
time.
cards just kind of work for him.
Mind blown at the state of the PIG'S EAR of all places.
Pair of
Alright.
4s. I win?
Yeah.
So what does this mean again?
Yeah.
What? Go sit somewhere else.
I'm just looking around watching people. I'm not actually
You literally
playing.
show your hand to the person next to you, and you're like, "What is these?" mean?" Yeah, and he's like, "I fold." Dalren, are you participating?
No, Dalren
Rest-
is running
Rest-
the game.
I thought you both were. So, but,
No.
Oh, you're still just watching.
Yeah.
So one of the two of you make me. What about you, buddy? Just bouncing.
I'm
You two make me perception checks.
I'm bouncing over here. Oh my gosh.
Session
Yeah,
reroll to
that's
make.
not a session. That's a hero point.
This-
You keep that.
I do.
Nick,
Otherwise, I'm
but
really,
it's-
really bad.
I
but
got it.
At least there's 2 of us.
There are
maybe.
2 of
It
you.
is.
All right.
I got
Get
a
a nat
23.
one.
It's fine.
I'm looking at the board.
Dalren has no idea what he's looking
Natural
for.
1.
He,
Yeah.
also, now that he has switched his lore over, he's spending most of the time just kind of watching some of this. He all gets lost in his own thoughts. Like, how did that? I swear I've played this game. I know this.
He looks at his notes. What was I thinking when I wrote this?
Resume.
23.
23. At the moment, either it's not high stakes enough, you're not catching it. There's a lot of an area to look over, but you don't see anything terribly out of the ordinary. So, continuing on, we'll have the round average +4. All right. And as Tyrannus continues to play, well, he's only so good. Possibly a string of bad luck. He would definitely tell you a string of bad luck. Doesn't go fantastic for him. Out kind of embarrassingly early, given the general skill level in the room.
19.
19. Ver, with no idea what he's doing. Still just accidenting his way through winning at cards. And, give me another round of perception checks.
Hey, 19.
14.
19 and 14. You do notice, Dalren, now as you get your head back in here, that a couple of the regulars that have been around before, some of the normal staff, definitely seem to be a little bit off. And as you focus in on one of them, you see at least one card come out of a sleeve.
Okay. So.
At Tyrannus' table.
At Tyrannus' table. So very nice. So.
Saved.
So I'm just gonna walk, just kind of looking around, just walk up right up behind that guy, then just spin, grab him by the collar, yank him off balance, and rip the cards out of his sleeve, and then just haul him through.
Make me an athletics check.
I will make that athletics check. That is a 21.
Oh, okay, absolutely. That's what happens. Yeah, that's absolutely what happens.
Flip the
You
cards
pull him,
out.
and just aces go flying out of this dude's sleeve as you pull him back here and tip him near out of his chair.
And then I just
immediately,
drag him out of the tavern and throw him in the street.
having been so shamed, he does not protest.
Um,
He's only upset because all of this is his tavern. All these other randos are in here. Now there's finally money in the pot.
I'll divvy up the coins throughout the table since this is the table he was cheating at.
Save Tyrannus.
Do it. No one is that lucky. Not that many times consistently.
Hey, Tyrannus, what do these cards mean?
Across the room.
With my 19.
So finally, it comes down to only a couple people who are realistically in the running here. Somehow, through sheer blind halfling luck, Tyrannus still managing to hold his own, and a couple of other visitors who have brought it up quite high. So, Tyrannus, here, I'm gonna give this to you guys. You guys.
Oh boy.
Yes.
I'm gonna give this to the class.
Do it, T.
A 14. He's decent, but this has gotten to like the high stakes table here.
The big boys are here.
So apparently the town does in fact possess some big boys, and he's not quite up to it. Rur.
Give me a
Couple of
20.
small ones too. Where halfling luck finally triggers on that 4 to a 3.
Luck carries you so far. There is in fact a
So-
limit though.
Oh my gosh.
Session
Yes.
reroll.
Person is to win it. Who
gotta
wants
do
that pot?
You see
This
this
is how
dice right
gambling
here?
starts.
This is actual gambling.
2 and 11. It went up. Not good enough.
The 11 definitely not going to do it. Still, at a certain point, you need to have some understanding of the game you're actually playing. And at the end of this, with all the extra people that have been brought in here, someone's walking home at the end of the day with a 24 gold prize pot at the top. But Roar,
Second and third
yeah,
would
Roar,
get something too.
you did decently. You are going to end up with half of that. You're going to get 12 gold as his turn as for the party. So, as this tournament comes to its end, as the winners are declared, and as these final hands are dealt out, to the cheers of the nearby patrons have gotten very into this. Zuri, her makeup now almost wholly gone from her face, and her hair largely reverting back to its natural state here.
Why
With
do I
admittedly
try?
impressive alacrity. Well, not often I find myself so in the wrong, but I believe I owe you an apology, Miss Resume. I don't necessarily know this is gonna stick, mind you. But you done well by me. And all the gods above can see you've brought dozens of new faces to the tavern. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The important part's going to be maintaining this. If you let it fall off, it's going to go away.
I'd say clean it at least once a month, even if you have to put some coin to it.
You do clean the thing.
What I'm saying is if you keep some of these girls on as cleaning and maids at night, you'll make enough coin, more than enough coin, to make up for what it will be to pay them. And they'll make tips, which they'll appreciate.
And she's looking down at what she made. 12 gold just from running the thing. I still don't understand how I've come across a coin from other people gambling. But I like this concept.
Because when other people gamble, they're having a good time. They drink, they eat, they spend money.
And you take a cut of the pot.
No matter what.
That's how every gambling house in the world works.
And a cut of the pots coming out of Kadost for Buddy from ZJSA 12 for keeping the rapscallions in check.
It was a very hard test.
A lot of effort had to go
Lot
into
of
that one.
effort.
It was
Bounce,
terribly difficult.
bounce.
I nearly rolled
kept the
an
game
athletics
calm.
check sometime.
But yeah, she's just shrugs.
Well, the fun part about it is no matter who wins or loses,
You
take
win.
a cut from every person who plays the game.
I don't right know this is the kind of tavern I want to be running long term. It seems like a lot of effort, but it's a lot of coin.
And if you ever get tired of it, you could probably sell it for a pretty penny. Unless, of course,
Sell the tavern.
if you got tired of it, or of course you could just let it
If
degrade
it
back
got
to
that
its old state.
Far off of it, I suppose. But
Well, with this level of profit, wouldn't you be able to cut someone in to run the games and manage all the difficult stuff?
That
and
you
like a
could.
light comes over her face.
You know, like a manager.
Spend money to make money.
Now you're getting it. And do less work, make more money.
This is
As long as the stability can keep increasing.
well, it's impressive. I know you lot got your fancy elf magic and whatnot, but I've never seen the place so clean. Not even when I was a wee lass. It's unbelievable, truth be told. I wasn't seeing it with my own eyes. So this isn't gonna wear off. This magic isn't gonna fade. It's not just gonna
As long as
turn
you
back into a pumpkin at the end of the night like that
No.
story.
as
But-
long as you keep the people here cleaning it at the end of the night, like I've shown them.
Yes, things do get dirty over time. That's not the magic's fault.
But I've shown them how to clean and what to clean. And as long as you pay them the little bit that they want to come and do this, they will do it for you, and you don't have to worry about it.
Also, I left a little recipe with your right-hand man. Next time you have rats, have him put some of that mixture out in the storage.
And Dolphin, on the back behind the counter, puts up a hand. Yeah, you left me this one.
Don't eat it.
No, that's the cider. No, this is the poison. No, stop brewing that. And,
Oh my god.
Just making a mental note, never eat here still.
Yep.
And the Tyrannus just sort of shrugs. As the woman said, this is impressive. The group of you seem to have the most peculiar set of skills I believe I've ever encountered. So strangely broad and lacking any semblance of cohesion, yet somehow working together efficiently.
That's why our group can't find a name.
Odd yet strangely cohesive.
It has a bit of a ring to it. A bit long-winded, though.
Yeah.
Well,
The OYSC.
Odd yet strangely cohesive.
The Terranites? No.
no.
I like odd but strangely cohesive better.
All right.
I did not mean this as a suggestion for a team name, so to speak. But yeah, and he takes the 12 gold that he'd won from his share of the pot and puts it in Dalren's hand. Takes this as the very least. That's about half the value of the halberd I took from the crypts.
Oh, well,
Oh, that's kind.
you earned it, Sir Knight.
If I've seen anything of your work, you did not need me down there. Nor did I contribute to that whatsoever. I earned nothing. No, keep it.
We'll do
And
good.
he holds up hands. Now, rarely without a gauntlet on, but he still has that signet ring on his right hand. He gave me this. And I traveled far for this, and left to my own devices, knowing what I now know, there's no chance whatsoever I would have been able to retrieve it on my own. He owes a lot of you things, truly. And I don't believe I have been proper in expressing it. This, I would say, is somewhat out of my depth.
We're sorry we set so much stuff on fire.
You ain't sorry about that, I can tell.
All right, maybe not. But I
I'm
feel
sorry I
bad.
had unfair expectations of farm folk. He says directly to
Yeah, I know, we're
Buddy.
pretty impressive, aren't we?
But I suppose I cannot nitpick your way of doing things when it is clearly so effective.
Well, we may have gotten off on a rough start, but I'd say we came together in the end. Oh, and speaking of which, I'd almost forgotten. Miss Zuri,
And you're still there.
about that person who has access to your tunnels.
Oh, right, of course. I ain't seen him around in a few days. Not since before last time I saw you, but then again, you kind of been doing your business here, so
Yeah, sure.
he would have seen him before I did. Snaps like he's trying to think. Oh, come on, I know this one. Oh, right, that, weird bookkeeper, Miss Voss?
Are you sure it's not Colmont?
Miss Vaz, the half-elf lady, she's the one?
Yeah, that's her. Weird, tall, kind of broody. She paid me what would admittedly have been a pretty precious amount of gold to let her use that tunnel back and forth and not say nothing about it, but he brought in way more coin than she's given me. Let it never be said my allegiance is to much else but my tavern. Well,
have-
and my purse.
We have to go to that bookshop.
Yes, I think we had better. Why, thank you very much, Miss Zuri. And I actually had heard that Miss Vaz had left town anyway, so it seemed like her payments wouldn't have been forthcoming.
I certainly haven't heard from her in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
She's, there's some weird stuff, as far as I can tell. I can't tell you what she's using the tunnel for, but I know she's definitely used that storeroom more than a couple times for some of her magic. You know, weird kind of magic with the bones and skulls and whatnot.
She's a necromancer?
I don't know what that is, Les.
No, it's something along those lines. Yes, she was always had a bit of a strange turn of phrase, but she ran a good bookshop, and I was always pleased to work with her. I'll miss her terribly.
Did she happen to say where she was going?
She did, but she was. Well, I shouldn't say if I should necessarily think that she'll get there. She might catch some other ideas and move along the way. But she said she was heading off to see the dwarves.
Well, I think beyond that, at the absolute least, I'll allow you drinks on the house. Damn, anytime you want to swing by the PIG'S EAR. I'll admit, I was skeptical. I really didn't know what a bunch of you woody elven folk were going to do for my tavern, but
They're
here
good
we are,
folk.
the most successful I had seen in my lifetime.
we'll drop by and check up on you. And if you have any questions, you know where we are.
I don't really.
You were at my house.
Well, I know where you are. Do you all live there? It ain't that big.
No, but they live in town too. And if you know where I am, well, you don't need to know where all of us are. If you know where I am, it's
Look,
enough.
you know where I'm at. You can come by here if you need me. And honestly, if you need to use that tunnel, you're more than welcome.
That'd
Thank
be
you.
very helpful, actually. It
Yeah, we
really
may
saves a lot of
appreciate that.
walking and weather.
All right, know where it goes. Where, what? Is this some kind of weird magic thing?
The
'Cause
tunnel?
No, not really. It's just a hole. in
just
the
a
ground.
normal tunnel, actually.
Was made weirdly, but it's not magical now.
I must have never been inclined to explore where exactly that left. And
I
Please
wouldn't.
don't. It's very dangerous.
fair enough.
In fact, you may want to consider.
Padlocking it.
No, we may have to come in from the other side. A key lock, perhaps.
We'll think about it.
Well, we'll work it out. It seems to be working well. It seems to be working well so far, I suppose.
Well enough as far as I can tell. Never had a problem with it, and it made me some extra coin. So, zero complaints here, really.
Perfect.
I'm exhausted, and I need a bath.
Well then.
Tyrannus, will you be leaving in the morning?
Well, we don't have to
Well,
go back
not
over.
now.
Are we going back to the crypts?
Of course.
Well, need to. Yes, of course.
Well, I mean, Tyrannus, it'd be interesting to follow this thing up. Don't you want to see the rest of the answers?
A day or two of your time?
That I do, yes. If this
And
was whoever this woman is, if she is behind this, you seem to know her.
Well, yes, she was a regular in town, and, most of us actually had dealings with her. She seemed quite reasonable, but,
I thought she was my friend.
Well, perhaps she was. I don't know what her reasonings
by
are.
her stores then. See what she has to say.
Well, she's left town.
But we definitely need to go
But
look
we
at the
definitely need
store.
to check her
Just
store
first,
out and
the
see
store
what she left.
itself may hold some
Of
secrets.
course she is. Well, I'll need to swing by and grab my halberd. I don't know, what it is she's up to, but I have zero trust in it.
Should we involve the council at this point, or should we
No.
further our investigation first?
Further our investigation.
They've given us permission to pursue this particular thing, haven't they?
Kind of.
Look, it's much better to ask forgiveness than on permission.
well, that's
As long as we're
questionable.
not breaking anything.
We're not doing anything wrong. We're trying to help them.
Fine by me. If if Master Inquisitor agrees.
And if what happened
This
with
is a
Kalmont is anything to
necromancer.
believe, then it's not like a night into jail does anything anyway. You can
Yeah.
simply walk out.
Yeah.
If you think I won't be writing a letter to the clergy about a necromancer on the loose and where she could potentially be,
I
of course I
certainly
want to investigate.
I'm
her
starting to believe there may be more to Kalmont's escape. Did you hear the details?
I didn't.
I don't can't verify the truthfulness of them, but they have a small jail with a single guard. The guard was found sucked totally dry,
The guard
Yeah.
was killed.
near bloodless.
What?
The life had been forced out from him. His face contorted, and even the very color ripped from it.
Can I get an Arcana check?
Well, I'm surprised this news isn't all over the town.
Well, it is in various forms. Rumors spread. I don't know the veracity of this, but as far as I can tell, that's the closest to true from what I've uncovered. Admittedly, I have not looked particularly far, as I had no real interest in the situation, but...
Well, that doesn't sound like a simple jailbreak and escape.
And from
it
what you have
sounds-
told me of this
No.
Kalmont, it certainly does not sound as if it's something he did himself either.
I shouldn't think
no,
so.
he doesn't have those type
I
of
can't help but
abilities.
wonder if Voz was closing a loose end.
He might have a point.
Can I roll a potential recall knowledge based on that stuff?
I think he really has enough information, because A, he's got scrambled rumors, and B, I mean, that's not... It could be any one of millions of spells or creatures that could cause something like that.
I guess without physical evidence, it'd be
Yeah,
hard to
without seeing it.
We should perhaps, well, if we're all... I'm wondering how long we should leave the store
I mean,
uninvestigated.
I suppose we should go. I can get us in.
As the crypt has been waiting for days, as has the store, but I feel the crypt is going nowhere.
Store
You might
we
be
can
best
do tonight.
investigating the store first.
Yes.
Just in case there's any unpleasant surprises, Calmont was able to summon that imp to help him burn the inn down. Let me go and retrieve my war gear.
Okay.
As I mine.
Luckily, I've learned some new magics that might help me counter some of his.
Very good. buddy. The wife won't mind if you're a bit later.
Oh, we're going tonight? I thought we were gonna go. We can go tonight. I don't mind.
Best do it under cover of darkness.
Get it over with.
We
Oh,
are
we're like sneaking in.
breaking and entering after all.
Whoa! Are we breaking and entering? This seems a bit much. I thought.
She gave me sort of tacit permission to go in there and read through and get what I wanted.
You know, that's a good point. She did. You were off getting the donkey at the time. But she did say
Go
if
in
there
there.
was anything that we needed. She also offered us Kalman's letters, which she said she burned, but she did say if ashes would be of use to you. I think it would be of use for us to see those ashes.
Regardless, if she is the necromancer behind this, whatever she has done in Citadel Altarian, I wish to at least know the ends of. Admittedly, as far as I can tell, she has done no provable wrong, but if she was responsible for this jailbreak, then she is a murderer.
Indeed.
We
If
also
not,
can confirm,
there is even more at work here.
But either way, I have permission to go in.
we also can confirm that she was the one performing necromancy.
Well, necromancy is not illegal in and of itself.
No, but she did cause a bunch of undead to rise.
Yes, but that was our safeguard. If anything, that would be our fault.
That's worth asking her about at the very least.
Well,
As
We
is my
also aren't
inclination.
completely sure it was her. I mean, it's all kind of hearsay at the moment.
Well, honestly, I defer to your judgment. You know the town, and apparently the woman far more than I.
I guess go get your stuff.
yes, indeed. I will meet you there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go get my stuff. I just don't want to jump to conclusions here. She seemed like a real nice lady.
I
Indeed she
adore
did.
her, but
Look, perhaps. I don't know. If we all reconvene outside of a small bookshop bearing arms and armor in the middle of the night, this seems suspicious, no?
Yeah.
I kind of agree
But
that.
we don't know what to expect. What do you think of this woman? Do you. If she has left town.
She seemed nice enough to me.
I think she could have easily doubled back.
Well,
And
she had a donkey,
knew,
you know.
and we've been shouting the fact that we were going to have this tournament for days. If you were going to pick a time to do something while almost everyone is at a tournament, would be a fabulous time.
that doesn't mean the gates would be unguarded. It's possible she has, in fact, left. She could have doubled back. It's possible. But regardless, Calmont is an arsonist, an attempted murderer.
If we're chasing him, we should have our weapons.
Well, moreover, I don't think we can entirely assume that he came up with this plan on his own. If Voss was intricately involved in this, she was trying to get into the underside of Citadel Altarian as well. The necromantic wards stopped her, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she didn't try another plan. So I think we have to, at least to be safe, assume that she may be there or she may have set up a surprise for us.
Regardless of who it is we are pursuing, it seems treading cautiously is more safe, as Resme so wisely said. But to ask forgiveness, and we cannot do that if we are dead.
Indeed.
Very well. I'll meet you there with arms and armor. I'll need some time.
Using Dalaran's knowledge of his thievery that he has remembered, can he improvise some thieves' tools just in case he needs them?
I have some.
You would need them.
Okay.
Yeah, you're basically just hard disallowed in second edition from picking a lock without thieves' tools.
Okay.
I have some.
Well,
and
Dalaran doesn't know that, but you could surprise him with them.
No, you know I
Yeah,
have
from
them.
the
You
locker.
saw me.
So
Yeah.
you started pulling out the lockers in Altarian.
Oh yeah,
She
that's
picked
true.
up and was like, hey, you know there's thieves' tools.
Yeah, that's
before.
true.
You've picked a couple of those lockers. You've got the silvered weapons before. So as the group of you spread to retrieve your arms and armor and regroup at the Reliant Book Company,
Or the not so reliant book company, as it were.
well, it seems that perhaps Voss may have been skipping town for a very different reason than what she may have presented you with. That, I think, is a good note to end our session on here. And after a fantastic Pimp My Tavern episode we've had going on here,
Got so much done.
it was, it was
America-
great.
Yeah.
America's
We don't
Top
need
Tavern.
incredible forward progress. This is a long term. If anyone was curious, by the way, about like the time scale of how we're gonna run this or campaigns, we are not going for lightning speed here. We are not trying to blow through the Age of Ashes in a world speed run record. No, this is going to be a campaign that we are probably going to have running for the foreseeable future. Our last campaign, those of you who weren't around for the War for the Crown or any of that, went for a year and a half, and we skipped an entire book of that. to get into second edition because it had released and to move forward into this and our new cool table setup here and everything. So this is definitely going to be a long-term play. We're not looking to run through this content as fast as possible. We're not trying to keep up with the pace of releases that Paizo was putting out. We're just picking a good adventure path and a good party to really dig into Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And so far, I think it's great. I am completely okay with a full episode of Tavern Finder and various exploits here because we have still, even so, moved the plot forward. We have found a good hook for next week as we investigate the book company and find out what exactly Voz is up to here. Because we have a bunch of strange threads with Calmont's breakout and whatever Voz is doing. Because we don't know what Voz is doing. All we knew of that ritual that you had identified is that it was to speak with the dead. She wasn't trying to resurrect anybody. She was just trying to talk to them. For what reason? Nobody knows.
I got suspicions.
Well, we have a dead jail guard. That's a little concerning.
Well, there has been an arson and a murder so far, so somewhere there are some high-grade criminals.
Does this mean that Elliot Grabler can come take over the prison?
Oh my god.
So attached to this. So attached to this. No. Not what that means. So, good episode. Shout out to the Flatbird. The Flatbird has done a fantastic job of filling that seat there. And as an added bonus, I believe, I've said this before and I've been wrong later, that we have 100% fixed the camera phasing issue. So
It's behaved
It's been
itself
great.
very
it's
well.
not frozen at all today. Severin, which is just the eagle entry from the bestiary for Pathfinder 2nd Edition,
Also my familiar.
is having a great time filling some space. Also not an eagle, but that was the best
what you
birdie
gonna
picture I could find of the bestiary at short notice.
Eagle scream.
And then hopefully we will all be here next week so that we can proceed with this investigation.
What do you mean? Esphus has been here the entire time. It's
He's
all-
just really stealthy.
That's exactly what Esphus would have been doing during the tavern makeover.
Yeah.
social
It was a good one for him to miss, all things considered. I have no idea what Esphus could possibly have contributed to the Tavern Makeover
Hunted
adventures.
the rats.
Standing in the middle of the room
Hunt
with a
prey.
bow. The second one pops up, whap, and just shoots him, and
Yep.
just arrow sticking in the side of the room.
It's like Dark Souls arrows when the proportional size. Boom.
Doesn't realize that I'm a cat trying to shoot me.
A true master of his craft. But we've got two or three things we need following up. This escape from Calmont, whatever Voz is up to, checking out her store, and there is still a good amount left in the crypts beneath Citadel Altarian, which we now fortunately have fairly easy access to, thanks
And the
to
bow staff.
Zuri and her tunnel through the much, much higher quality PIG'S EAR Tavern. But thank you, all of you here in the Twitch chat, for hanging out with us live as we're putting this together. We have gotten the show to a point of technical competence. We are now at least mediocre.
Level up.
Consistency is what we're going for.
That's
No,
it.
I really know that these first few, even through the Fall Plague Stone and the beginning of the Age of Ash, has been a lot of putting this together. But we think we're getting there. I think we've reached competent.
We
Is
have.
what we've done. With this extra setup here, it lets me still access things and change the scenes with only occasional screw-ups and cameras that don't just stop working for no reason, and audio that sounds mostly okay, which should actually have been slightly better than it was previously, but that's probably not super noticeable to everybody because it was largely just a buffer size and driver's backend changes. It's a little better.
You're just saying words.
This should be a little better. I could say way more words. I've been fighting my audio setup for literally, I didn't do my personal stream for the last 2 days trying to fix all
no.
of this stuff. But appreciate you guys being here, supporting us. We will see you next week. Or, well,
More
some
shenanigans.
stuff. It's definitely going to be shenanigans. We're definitely going to learn something. Gotta be there to find out what though.